of aggregate student loan debt delinquent or in default. As in previous years, the Fed said the current delinquency and default rates are understated because up to half are in deferment, in grace periods, or in forbearance, and therefore temporarily not in the repayment cycle. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After logging onto the Xbox One game console at one of his classmates' homes, 12-year-old Michael Cutler admitted to reporters this week that he really does not have the slightest clue about what his friend's name could be.
I mean, his name might be Brian. No, wait, Brian's my other friend, the one with the PS4. Yeah, if I'm being totally honest, there's no way I can tell you his name. Not a chance.
Noting that the boy had, quote, an absolutely huge HD TV and a bunch of games his mom won't let him play, Cutler confirmed that he could recall only the faintest details about his friend, including the fact that his mother makes chocolate chip cookies and that he has a dog of some kind.
He's got Killer Instinct, Assassin's Creed, Battlefield 4, and Titanfall? Man, that game's awesome. Anyway, I've just been calling him Flamethrower because that's his gamer tag. Hopefully he doesn't catch on. Hey, can I stick around for a few more hours? I'm so close to beating this.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. The toll-free number, we'll give that to you. Also, our Skype username. And you can bring up anything that happens to be on your mind. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
James.
And TJ the Spy.
So, pretty big news. When I saw these headlines, I was a little uncertain that it was for real. But apparently, Drug Abuse Resistance Education, DARE.
Yes.
Which
is a competing organization to my Funding Resistance Against Unlawful Drug Abuse.
Funding Resistance Against Unlawful Drug Abuse.
Yeah,
what does that
the
break
abuse,
down to?
F-R-A-U-D.
Okay.
See, the idea is I'm going to have you give me like $20 million, and I'm going to go tell kids don't do drugs. And then 10 years, 20 years later, when we find out the program doesn't work, we're going to say, well, we messed up the first time, but if you give us even more money, we'll make sure and change our curriculum and continue the thing because it feels good. I mean, that's basically what DARE is. You know, we're going to pay, oh goodness, I need to get the numbers, but, you know, we pay with federal DARE money officers to go into the classrooms. And then, of course, when they actually did the peer-reviewed study 20 years after the fact, kids who went through DARE were no more or less likely to use drugs than kids who had not gone through DARE. It was within a margin of error. So it basically, it may feel good, it sounds good. If you're a politician, I don't recommend going against DARE because if you try and kill DARE, you're going to want kids to be drug addicts. That's how your opponents are going to paint you. So, but I mean,
but even though the statistics would be on your side, even though you could say, well, look, you know, this program doesn't work.
Ian,
and
we're talking about American voters here. You know, American voters, since when do they care about the facts, right?
So drug abuse resistance education program, according to suntimes.com, one of the largest anti-drug groups in the world, no longer lists marijuana as a so-called gateway drug on its website, according to a Redditor who recently pointed that out. The gateway theory basically claims that people who start using soft substances such as marijuana then go on to use hard drugs like heroin or cocaine. It's a fairly common argument made to support marijuana prohibition. And to anyone who has made this argument, you obviously haven't seen the old Institute of Medicine study. I believe it was from the year 1999, and maybe it has been duplicated since then. I don't know. But the U.S. federal government, their Institute of Medicine, so this is like a government-run study, basically, they wanted to study cannabis to see if it was indeed a gateway drug. And, of course, you know that when these things happen, they sort of decide in advance what their results they want them to be, or at least what they're hoping them to be. But in this case, the results were that marijuana was not a gateway drug. So the government's own study in 1999 had made that claim. And now here we are more than 15 years later, and DARE has finally acknowledged that it is not a gateway drug quietly by removing it from its list.
Well, thank goodness we spent $10 million back in 2002. They're going down. It's like $3.7 million this year. But, I thought I should form an organization, and if you pay me $2 million, I'll go around telling kids drugs are bad. I mean, heck, I've done enough of them. I can say, yeah, kids, you shouldn't do, meth or heroin because they could have serious side effects. If you're not careful, you could hurt yourself if you're not
But
watching.
you wouldn't go around telling young people all drugs are bad.
No, I would say, drugs are kind of like your abusive ex-girlfriend that you get back with. It's complicated because you shouldn't go back to them, but you'd end up doing. If you're in severe pain, the kind of pain where you're screaming at the top of your lungs, you do not care if you're naked kind of pain because it's so bad. Something like oxycodone or morphine or fentanyl takes that pain from a 10 out of a 10, worst pain of your life, down to like a 3 out of 10. So it still hurts, but it's manageable. You can actually eat. You can actually sleep. And
Problem is, at some point, a lot of the people who get on oxys end up getting addicted to the oxys, and then it becomes not about the pain anymore, but about feeding that addiction.
And that's part of the thing. It's a very complicated, model of addiction. We don't really understand. Why do some people like me? I was on oxycodone 5 milligrams daily for 2 months. I never needed more. It always provided the right amount of pain relief. And after 2 months, once the pain had subsided, I was able to stop. There was no withdrawal. There was no danger.
Just some people build a tolerance to it?
Some people build a tolerance to it, and like after a week or two, they might need 10, and then another week or two, they'll need 15, and then 20 and 30 and 40, and before you know it, they're taking, like my insurance agent back from where I'm from, he quietly confessed to me that he was doing 500 milligrams of oxycodone a day. And
my gosh.
That would kill me 10 times over. And so...
Wow, and talk about, how expensive that is. Oxys can go for what, $20
on the black market? It would be $1 per milligram on the black market, so a $500 a day habit if it was illegal. Yeah. And so,
well, you can't get that kind of prescription legally, right?
It's very difficult.
Unlikely.
Doctors, they don't want to create an addict, so when they see your usage going up and up and up, they're going to cap you.
Put you on something else.
Or try to say, we can't keep going up this road, and that's when some people, I really don't like to say they're evil molecules. It gives them more power than what they have. So, for example, we tend to say heroin is evil, and I don't like saying that, and here's why. Heroin is just diacetylmorphine. It's a morphine molecule that has 2 acetyl groups, and when you snort it or inject it or smoke it or eat it or oral ingestion, it gets deacetylated into morphine, 6-monoacetylmorphine and morphine. So from your body's perspective, it can't process heroin. It actually creates morphine out of heroin. So it's kind of crazy that morphine is a Schedule II compound that a doctor in a white lab coat who has permission from the federal DEA, he has a permission slip, and he can wave his magic wand and say 10 milligrams morphine every 6 hours, but he can't say 3 or 4 milligrams diacetylmorphine every 6 hours, even though from the body's perspective, they are the same molecule.
Interesting.
And so, I don't like to say that drugs are evil. It's what we do with the drugs that make them good or bad.
Sure.
So some people...
And didn't the study by Carl Hart, I believe is his name?
Too High a Price. So he wrote the book Too High a Price, and he showed, like we have this idea in our mind of like crack cocaine addicts being these fiends. They'll kill their own mothers for another hit of crack, and you could pay them $5 to forego crack usage for an hour. So
I believe that, if I'm recalling correctly, when we talked about it on the air, they found that offering $5 to the person to forego it, not for an hour, but for days, wasn't quite enough. They had to offer $20 in order to get them to do that. But what they did was they had these crack addicts and meth heads in a hospital environment, and they're under study, and every day they were offered a fresh crack rock or a fresh piece of meth that would have been like medical grade quality, like the best possible quality they could possibly acquire, more so than they would ever get on the black market. So they were offered the most pure product they could possibly get their hands on, or $5 or $20. And when it was made to $20, that would get paid out 3 weeks later after the end of the experiment, so it wasn't an immediate benefit to them. They started taking that, and they forwent having that crack or the meth in return for getting that $20 payout at the end. So what it showed, I think, was that people are taking these drugs in a dangerous manner based on some. Right. I mean, they're taking it based on their life circumstances more so than the drug having control over them. Right.
I mean, think about this. By fact, we have a system where we're only going to hear about when things go wrong. Imagine this as a headline. 10 college kids snorted heroin last night and nothing bad happened. right? You're not going to hear about all the people who do heroin and oxycodone and morphine, or who are using them responsibly as they should be used. You're not going to hear about all the people who are using cocaine and are not becoming addicted. And you're not going to hear from doctors and lawyers and teachers. Nobody with a professional credential in their right mind would admit or come out. I mean, that would be like being openly gay in the 70s. That is just a strict no-no. You do not come out as an openly avowed drug user in this country if you care about your career.
Well, one thing, too, being illegal, you can't, talk to your doctor and say, what dosage should I take? The quality control's not there. So it's I don't know what I'm taking. I don't know how much... I don't know how pure it is. I don't know. Most people aren't going to. Yeah,
most people are not going to spend $150, send it into ecstasydata.org, and they'll run a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer test on it. So you can actually test a sample of a powder or a crystalline substance to see if it is pure.
I was thinking, if they're, let's say they're injecting it, the classic, woo, this is really bad. Do you think they're really, measured how much is in there and,
No.
how much they're putting in? So it's if it could be a controlled dose, it'd be so much better. It's so dangerous the way it is.
Yep, that's true. And, of course, it's the black market that drives it to be dangerous. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. People could just buy these various products over the counter.
As they used to. I mean, we used to be able to buy heroin over the counter in the Sears Roebuck catalog.
That'd be the best way to keep people safe. If you want to comment on harm reduction or whatever happens to be on your mind, 855-450-FREE. So a little bit of good news from the DARE program.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. The toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us online over at freetalklive.com. And we do have Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
Let's go straight to the phones and the fun. We'll get back into Dare dropping marijuana from its gateway drugs list here in a moment. But first, Amy is on the line in Oregon. Amy, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, James, and TJ.
Hi.
Hi there.
Thanks for having me here.
You're on the radio. Go ahead.
So I've got a local child porn case, and it seems like it's just getting covered up by the local authorities, that they're not really fulfilling the duties that they were assigned to do.
Tell me more.
Well, I had sent like a local news story that had covered the case, and it's just pretty distressing that there's police documents that say the identified abuser admitted to taking pornographic photos, and yet he hasn't been arrested.
Okay, so when you say he admitted to taking pornographic photos, how old was the alleged victim?
8 years old or
Okay,
younger.
so yeah, this is definitely like no territory. It's not like a 16-year-old taking a picture of a 16-year-old type thing. This is actually what most of us would consider over the line, all right?
So you're talking about actual child pornography. So why do you believe that this person has not been arrested if he or she has admitted to, I presume it's a he, has admitted to this?
I don't really understand. The police had given him polygraphs, and he has passed them, and so they're holding that as some...
Well, the voodoo graph, as I like to call it, has no scientific validity. It's, by the way, everyone, just so you know, if you ever take a polygraph, complete hocus pocus. It has, I mean, the whole idea that your galvanic skin response, your heart rate, blood pressure, change in response to lying, that's a beautiful theory, but as my engineering professor used to say, it's just not true. The whole theory behind the polygraph, it is completely debunked. There is not a scintilla of scientific proof that it works. The only way it works is if you confess, if you're hooked up to the machine and you say, yes, I'm lying to you, I did do something wrong. So those of you, if you're ever in a criminal situation, you should never agree to a polygraph. There's nothing you can gain from it. It's not admissible in court, and all it's going to be used as a cudgel to beat you over the head. But the second thing is nobody, I mean, I'm surprised the guy passed. This is the first time I think I've ever heard of a guy passing a polygraph. Almost every time I watch Forensic Files, they always deem the guy deceptive. And
right.
By the way,
Well,
if you ever go to work for the CIA or the NSA, you will fail your first-round polygraph. Everybody fails. Just remember, do not change your story. So if you say on your application form, I have never used illegal drugs, That means never in your entire life, not when you were 12, not when you were playing spin the bottle when you were 13.
It's illegal to lie to a federal
18
agent.
U.S.C. Section 1001, false statement to a federal official. That is correct.
So Amy, is it that you believe, because you did send this news story that was related to the story you're talking about to the show, which,
Right.
are you saying that the story here is that someone's being protected, that this child porn producer is friendly with certain government agent officials in the area?
Yes. Yeah, it seems that his mom and those certain officials have worked together for like 6 years. And it's just...
And you live out in this area, so you're personally involved in this, or you just kind of you're a local who's watching and not really happy with how the government's handling this?
Well, everybody's name is anonymous, but let's just say I'm personally involved in this case.
Okay. Amy, thanks for the heads up on this. I do have the story here, and we'll share that. Thank you for the call tonight. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. The story is actually from last year, but apparently it's still going on. The agonizing frustration of a Medford, Oregon mother has felt due to the questionable tactics of Oregon's Department of Human Services, DHS, and a judge and DA in Jackson County Court might be enough to chill you to the bone, writes Tim King for the Salem Insider at SalemInsider.com. Her young daughter, according to numerous reports and investigations, has been sexually abused by her biological father, and state officials appear to be going to great lengths to block the alleged offender from receiving the justice that is extremely overdue. Sex abuse case has a stack of police reports, court documents, and pornographic images of a child that tell a sordid tale of a young girl being used in child pornography, her being forced to watch a young girl being raped on a videotape, and having a gun stuck in her mouth. The paternal grandmother has admitted to having forced the young girl at the age of 7 to share a bed with a known sex offender. Oregon DHS is often criticized for the way it removes children from families, but this story suggests a complete and total cover-up of extremely dangerous crimes that likely will impact the entire life of one young child, and possibly more if this perpetrator is allowed to remain free. Says the problems began in 2011. Alleged offenses against the little girl seemed odd. One person close to the case stated, quote, "At one point he placed a temporary tattoo on the small of her back. She was in preschool and we had no friends with a tattoo like that. This, most people know, is known in the tattoo world as a tramp stamp and has no place on a small child," unquote. The first official report was when the daughter was 4, saying that there was nude bathing with a male grown-up who had an erect penis. This was promptly reported to both DHS and Medford Police Department. An investigation began with mockery to the mother and daughter right away, according to a family member. DHS eventually took custody from the mother, accusing her of having an unspecified mental illness. DHS eventually assisted the identified abuser in attaining sole custody. Then, in a pro se hearing, the mother won unsupervised visits twice per week. A report that by all accounts pointed to the father as a suspect in the case somehow was turned around. The girl's mother says in a short time, DHS intervened and took custody of her daughter and gave custody to the father, who, quote, passed a polygraph regarding allegations that he put a gun into his daughter's mouth. The child made this allegation at the Children's Advocacy Center a month after she'd been placed in foster care. DHS appears to be supporting the father. One DHS rep stated in court that the girl's mother, quote, suffered from Asperger-like mental illness and had a tendency to annoy. The mother says she's never been diagnosed with Asperger or any other similar illness, and that her tendency to annoy was directly related to her fight for her own daughter's safety. A mental health evaluation provided since that time by an independent party unaffiliated with DHS says the girl's mother is of absolutely sound mind. Going through the documents, a pattern begins to emerge, writes Tim King from the Salem Insider. The identified abuser's mother is or was higher up in the Medford Head Start. She's been using her influence with both DHS, an agency she works closely with, and the judge and the DA to shield her son from prosecution. So, again, they're saying here that mom of the alleged abuser is grandma of the little girl is connected politically, and that she has managed to stave off any kind of criminal prosecution against this man. The grandmother's unfounded allegations against the girl's mother were taken at face value in a case potentially involving extreme sexual abuse of a child. DHS stated for the record that, according to the sex abuse suspect's mother, his former wife, quote, makes stuff up, unquote. The DHS report with that quoted the paternal grandmother's claim that a court mediator used the term Munchausen by proxy, a condition involving the exaggeration or fabrication of illnesses by a primary caregiver. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. And more about the sex abuse case, and you can share your thoughts.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size for incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency. Get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. On Friday, gold is down $8 at $1,226 per ounce. Silver is 25 cents lower at $14.95 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $424 US. It's the end of the week and we're seeing a slight sell-off in gold and silver. To take advantage of this, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. I've got a disturbing story here brought to us by a listener of the show tonight who just called in. She appears to have some sort of involvement with the case. Maybe it's the mother. It's not real clear who she was, but she sort of dropped the story in our lap from SalemInsider.com about a man who is alleged to have been involved in some child abuse with his daughter. And apparently, the allegations here are that his mother is connected with the government in the Salem, Oregon area, or Medford, Oregon, and that therefore, because she's well connected, that he's being protected from any kind of consequences for his alleged actions.
Well, I'm not going to say call the FBI because they handle child pornography cases under 18 U.S.C. Section 2252. It's 2252 or 2252A. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, I always hate involving the feds unless absolutely necessary. Mm-hmm. I usually think it's better to handle crimes at the state or local level because, first of all, in federal court, the deck is stacked against the criminal defendant. You don't have nearly as many rights as you do in state court. And the punishments are very frequently much harsher. And more importantly, in federal court, you're not allowed to talk about jury nullification. So I don't know where to go with this one, Ian, because I don't know who's right. I have no idea enough facts about the case.
There's more, and it's a pretty disturbing sounding case. They do bring up the FBI later, so we'll see what level of involvement they had. Our toll-free number tonight, if you want to get on the phones, is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Normally the police are, chomping at the bit to go after a child pornography suspect, but in this case, they're strangely apparently not spending much effort going after him, and maybe that's because he's got a mom who's connected within the system.
Or it could be he's just plain old innocent. So
could very well be.
I mean that's the thing is like if you have a case and it's like, well, you don't know the plaintiff and you don't know the defendant. Where do you come down on these things? How do you know who's right? And that's the thing I always wonder, like in child custody cases, how does the judge determine? Usually they go with, I've noticed there is a bias towards the mom in a lot of child parental cases. A lot of dads.
That's why one guy set himself on fire.
Here, oh yeah, we've been trying to get the footage to that, and
it's gone. It's long gone.
Ah, darn it!
They only keep footage for about a week, and I already tried once and ended up going to court over it. And they dragged the family members in, and the family member said how offensive it would be if the footage was released. So the judge ended up siding on the favor of the state and against freedom of information. It was a sad day for freedom of speech and the press. But, hey, you know what? If you're putting together a business and you need to get some business cards printed, well, Vistaprint can do it, and they can do it very affordably. 500 business cards. You get them for just $9.99 when you use promo code FTL at checkout over at Vistaprint.com. If you've got a small business, home-based business, they've got what you need. Not just business cards, but postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, invitations. You can customize the text, colors, backsides, and more. You can upload your logo to one of their existing designs or upload an entire design. It's super easy with their online tool, which I've used to make my Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree cards. And you can use it over there at Vistaprint.com. And if you want to upgrade to a higher quality card, like a thicker stock or maybe a metallic or spot glossed finish, you can do that super easy. Vistaprint.com. Use code FTL. Get 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. That's code FTL at Vistaprint.com. So let me share some more from the case. This is from SalemInsider.com, which appears to be some kind of a blog, I guess, out of the Medford/Salem, Oregon area. And the individual here who's writing is Tim King from the Salem Insider. He said he's been going through the documents and a pattern has emerged that the identified abuser's mother is or was a higher-up in Medford Head Start. She's been using her influence with DHS to basically shield her son from prosecution. They mentioned Munchausen by proxy, a condition involving the exaggeration or fabrication of illnesses or symptoms by primary caregiver. DHS states in a case where a small child disclosed sex abuse and photos reinforced the suspicion that Munchausen by proxy is, quote, one of the most harmful forms of child abuse, unquote. The bottom line is the district attorney has refused to prosecute the father, claiming there's no evidence that shows the child was compelled to take the lewd photos, while the detective assigned to the case immediately said there is such evidence. This seems extremely questionable, and the judge showed a similar lack of enthusiasm as well. Evidence in the case reportedly sits in an evidence lab unexamined, according to sources. On August 12th of 2013, records show the case took a sinister turn. The daughter arrived for her visit carrying an expensive child's electronic game called a Leap Pad 2. The child was showing her playmate some videos on the device. When her playmate left, the mom asked to look at the device, and the daughter didn't want her to see the pictures. The Leap Pad contained 8 or 9 pictures of a child in the nude, spreading her labia with one or both hands, laying on her belly, including up-close photos of her genitals. One was clearly the victim. She was clearly in her own bedroom in her father's house, wearing sunglasses and spreading her labia with both hands. In one image, what were obviously large adult hands were spreading them. DHS would later state that the daughter used a timer to take the photos herself at the age of 7, and that the 2 hands on her privates were her own. Now, it's starting to sound pretty unbelievable here that somebody would be at that age taking naked pictures of themselves in, a spreading kind of position. I mean, this is obviously something that, adults would think of doing, but it's pretty unlikely someone at that young age, unless they were super sexualized by their parents or something like that, would do something like that. The case was dismissed in 4 days because the identified abuser passed a polygraph. Then in October of 2014, a child described being made to watch a movie in which a young child was being raped by a grown-up. The child was placed with her protective mother. The next move from DHS was to order that the grandmother be granted overnight weekend visitation. During my 25 years of reporting, it has been my understanding that grandparents essentially have no rights in a child custody battle. A detective on the case does a background check on the paternal grandmother's live-in boyfriend and discovered the grandmother resides with a known registered child sex offender. His own sex abuse conviction in Jackson County had been dropped by the courts from a very serious first-degree offense to a third-degree conviction, which technically doesn't make him a sexual predator. The victim in this case disclosed that she was sleeping in a bed with her grandmother and this man. It's painfully clear when reading from various reports that the grandmother and parent of an alleged child porn suspect has an extraordinary influence in the case. I mean, in most cases, if you've got pictures of naked children on a device, that alone is
naked minors. So this is the thing. The law does not distinguish. Federal law does not distinguish between a picture of an 8-year-old and a picture of a 17-year-old. Both are equally illegal under the law. And this is one of the curious things about the law. If I take a picture of you, if you're 17 years and 364 days old and I snap a picture of you naked, that is producing child pornography under Title 18 United States Code Section 2252.
Yeah.
You wait 24 hours, then as long as you have proof of age on file to comply with 18 U.S.C. Section 2257, which you see at the beginning of every adult film, says proof of age on file with custodian of the records. I don't know if you've
I've seen those.
You've seen those notices, right? So, hey, it's perfectly legal as long as you're 18 to pay them and take pictures of it, which is another crazy thing. Speaking of Liberty Forum, I just remembered that we had a speaker who spoke about legalization of sex workers and sex worker rights. And I thought it's kind of interesting how if you pay a girl or a guy for sexual relations, that is totally illegal. No, you cannot do that. But if you pay somebody and you videotape it and you get, then it's producing adult film. We don't say porn because that's a crass, lowbrow word. We say adult production of adult film. Yeah. That's a highbrow way of saying it. You say insufflate diacetylmorphine. You don't say snort a line of heroin.
Right.
And likewise, I got to beat this out of James. You did not beat the charges. You were vindicated or you were acquitted in court. You didn't beat the charges.
Well, in this case, this guy has never gone to court for some of these allegations. And, the average person, if one of their electronic devices was found with child pornography on it, and when I say that, I mean real child pornography, like actual children, like they're describing in this case, I just don't think they would let that slide without a pretty serious investigation, and they wouldn't accept somebody using a polygraph. 855-450-FREE, that's our number here. It's Free Talk Live.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-965-1170.
I used to be plagued by pot belly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-965-1170. That's 1-800-965-1170. 1-800-965-1170.
Biochemistry determines your mood, memory, energy, and endurance. Your body's primary metabolic function is to make protein. One World Whey is a unique, non-denatured protein. This enables your body to have virtually 100% utilization, whereas typical whey protein powders offer no more than 18% utilization of protein. One World Whey also delivers life-giving frequencies to your cells. The net result for so many people is improved energy, mood, and elimination of pain from inflammation.
This technologically enhanced One World Whey has been really amazing for me. I'm 36 years old, and for the past several years, I've been struggling with lack of energy, drive, and stamina. And after just 2 weeks on this product, I'm feeling so much more energy. My yoga practice has deepened, and as a massage therapist, I'm able to see more clients than I've been able to in years. I've never felt results that quick with anything I've ever taken.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldway.com. That's oneworld.com.
Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers for drivers. It's more decentralized than Uber and Lyft. With Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City was created by New Hampshire liberty activist Christopher David. When he publicized the idea in January 2016, he hoped to recruit 100 drivers by the end of the month. Instead, he blew past his goal with over 1,300 drivers signing up in just 2 weeks. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and is disrupting the already disrupted transportation industry. If you want to get involved, you can join as a rider or a driver. To ride with Arcade City, visit arcaderide.freetalklive.com. To drive with Arcade City, visit arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com to drive, or arcaderide.freetalklive.com to ride with Arcade City. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Now, maybe there isn't enough evidence to convict this guy of possession of child pornography or the manufacturing of child pornography. You've got a situation, according to SalemInsider.com, that is still sort of working its way through the court systems, it seems like, where a young girl, age 7 or 8 years old, has allegedly been forced to take naked photos, very revealing pictures, spreads, if you will, There's apparently what appear to be two hands of some sort of adult in one of the photos, so it appears as though she wasn't alone, which is what the alleged investigators were claiming that when the photos were taken. But even if the child were to have taken these photos on her own, which seems very, very unlikely,
The
because
8-year-old took the photos.
That's what they're claiming.
Uh-huh.
They're claiming that she took the photos
then the
herself.
8-year-old should be arrested for child pornography. They do that to 16-year-olds. If you're a 16-year-old and you take a picture of yourself, they will arrest you for production of child pornography. So, I mean, if you want to be technical, the 8-year-old should be arrested. I mean, I know it is ridiculous, and I'm not seriously suggesting that, but, an 8-year-old who takes pictures of herself.
Well, the claim was that there were these nude photos of her on the Leap Pad, which is some sort of a device, some kind of an electronic gaming device, and the photos, like 8 or 9 pictures, were found there, at least one of which was of the child. The others were of other children, apparently. And it seems highly unlikely that the 7 or 8-year-old is going to be collecting these photos
I'm
on
a
their
little
own.
suspicious of that. That one doesn't fly.
You're right. Then the next question would be, well, which of the parents has the access to this particular pad most often?
Well, I mean, if you're the adult, the thing is, it's irrelevant who took it. If the 8-year-old produced the child pornography, and what is child pornography? Well, the Miller test is fairly specific, but it's something that does not it lacks scientific, artistic, or literary merit. So it can't be for a scientific, like a medical diagram showing childhood development. It's okay to show genitalia for doctor use. That's fine. But
kids in the classic example, kids in the bathtub, right? No, your parents take
of course,
pictures of...
even that's a little iffy nowadays. Like, if I had a child, I would not take any pictures of them naked whatsoever.
I agree with you.
That is just asking for trouble.
It's gotten people into hot water, especially back in the day when people would develop film. That doesn't so much happen anymore. But back when people developed film, they would take in a roll of film into Walgreens or Walmart or whatever, and then they'd end up with the police knocking at their door because one of the film developing folks saw this picture of their kids in the bathtub and thought that there was something lurid about that.
I'm actually wondering if my mom, when I was 5 years old, so my father, when he was 5 years old, my grandmother took a picture of him naked standing on a ladder as an artistic piece for a photography class she took back in the 60s. And my mom decided to do the same thing. So when I'm 5 years old, she has a picture of me standing there on the ladder, totally naked out of the bathtub. And I'm like, I wonder if I should tell my mom she should burn those photos. But I said, well, that might be destroying evidence, because if it's, if it constitutes child pornography of myself, well, that's the thing is I can't even look at them. If they are child pornography of myself, I'm not allowed to look at them because that would be a crime. You're not, this is the crazy thing about it. If you possess it and you destroy it, it's a crime. If you possess it, it's still a crime. So what do you do it? If you have pictures of child pornography in your possession, what exactly are you supposed to do with it? You can't turn it over to the police. That's a good way to get arrested and indicted. You can't destroy it because that's destruction of evidence. You can't hold on to it because that's possession. So...
well, it would seem that in that case you probably would be best off destroying it.
Yes, and then just not telling anyone.
It's not likely that anyone would know that you had destroyed it.
Yeah, maybe I should tell my mom to destroy those photos.
So, let's see. Let me continue here. There's a little bit more from SalemInsider.com. It appears to be a blog, local reporter reporting on this case, wondering, Tim King is his name, and he's wondering, why is this guy, it seems like he's being protected. The alleged abuser in this case, his mother, is connected with the government. She works with the Head Start program. She knows people in the upper echelons of the, I forget if it's Medford or if it's, it's Medford government. So more alarmed by this latest information, again, this was where the girl had pictures on her device. The mother was immediately back in touch with Medford police to report the extremely inappropriate proximity of her daughter to her grandmother's live-in boyfriend, who turns out is a registered child sex offender. Apparently, he was in bed with her for an entire night. This would lead to no charges because it wasn't part of his plea deal with the DA that he could not sleep with minor children. Department of Homeland, or DHS, it's not Department of Homeland Security, it's Department of Human Services in Oregon. DHS didn't understand why the mother was upset about her young daughter sleeping with a grown-up couple in their bed. Now, for some people, that's not an unusual thing. They raise their kids closer than other people raise their kids, and I don't think that necessarily suggests something untoward is going on. It's just a different level of closeness for a family. This probably makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a mom or dad. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I could go back to when I was 8 years old, if I could make like $5 or $10 million, I'd go up to Michael Jackson and say, "Have at it."
Well, no, I mean, I'm not suggesting anything was going on. What I'm talking about is, like, I remember I don't remember, but it's my understanding when I was a child that there was a certain point at which I could no longer sleep in the bed with my parents. Like, when you're a baby, it's okay to sleep in the bed with your parents, but at a certain point, you get moved out into your own
like
room.
5 years old. I remember I couldn't sleep with mommy after about 5.
Yeah, see, I don't remember what the date was or how old I was, but obviously some parents will allow that to go on longer than others.
Well, I tell you, I wouldn't. It's we've become a state now of such paranoia, but I would not get anywhere near any child under the age of 18. I will not let them in my car unless I have the video camera going with the audio, just in case. And I will retain the footage for like 5 years for the statute of limitations. So if there's ever, I mean, you have to protect yourself in today's society, because if there's an accusation of misconduct, if you're a Boy Scout leader or a church leader or a youth group leader, you need to be body cam recording, no overnight sleepovers.
Their word against yours, you're going to go down. A little bit more to the case. According to police reports, the girl's biological father clearly had child porn on his computer and hundreds of nude photos of his child on an external hard drive. He confessed to the police of photographing his young child nude and self-pleasuring. The police or the lab have those photos on file, and he's never been arrested despite the confession. What are the Department of Human Safety, what is it?
Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you. Health and Human Services representatives and the court officers smoking in Medford. Further, he claims here that feeling like her options were running out, advocates for the girl's mother contacted an FBI special agent in Portland. So this was where you had suggested calling the FBI in, TJ. He had recently received an award for being a child protector. The mother of the victim was told that the FBI does not respond to such cases unless the local police department involved in the case, quote, invites the FBI to participate. So you, the individual, cannot move the FBI into action, according to this. The local cops, who apparently are corrupt, which is what the allegation is saying here, is that the cops are connected to this grandmother and they're not moving forward with the case, so therefore the FBI can't move forward.
You want to take a stab at what federal agency is responsible for investigating public graft and corruption?
The FBI.
That is correct. The FBI, one of their core focus missions is public graft and corruption.
All the while, even after police reportedly discovered child pornography on the biological father's computer and the child's Leap Pad 2, and direct statements from the child claiming her father was sexually abusing her. The biological father, a former bar bouncer, remains a free man, but is now having his day in court. Considering how this case has gone in the past, it's not unexpected. The state of Oregon's Department of Human Services is apparently opting to drop the charges from child sex abuse to a lesser charge that does not directly tie the father to the crime. So it's not clear exactly what is going on in court by this particular story, and the individual doesn't actually name any names. He claims to protect identities. So the story is a little bit vague as far as, who is this person? How I wouldn't know where to begin following up on this piece. The lady who called in earlier did send this to us, so perhaps she could provide us with a more recent story.
I hate to say, I tend to be more cautious. Some people are a little bit, they want to go out and bloviate and speculate. And this is one of those things where I say, well, I don't have enough court documents or information to really make an educated opinion. So I say this is a thing we just might have to sit tight for another 6 months. I seriously doubt this person, this offender, will be a free man for much longer. This is another thing. Federal criminal cases and state criminal cases take forever. I could walk into the FBI and confess to robbing a bank with a gun today. They will say, thank you very much for the confession, and a year will go by before they'll go in front of a grand jury.
And get an indictment.
And they will come back a year from now. So it takes forever for a criminal case. It can take 5-10 years before you get your day in court from the date of the accusation.
But it's not unbelievable to think that someone connected in local government could, pull the strings to get the police to look the other direction. It's not unbelievable at all. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Small-town government is, arguably, in some cases, more corrupt than larger governments in other places. It depends. It's Free Talk Live. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, February 26th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.14 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,237 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports the UN made much of its airdrop of 21 tons of food to the Syrian city of Deir ez-Zor, at present controlled largely by the Islamic State, but contested in fighting with Syrian troops. On Thursday, the UN admitted that all 21 tons ended up either destroyed or lost. Fearing that they'd get targeted by missiles, the plane flew at high altitude and dropped the 21 pallets of food from up there, figuring they'd just parachute down to the drop area. That did not work exactly as well as they'd hoped. 4 of the parachutes of the 21 pallets just flat out did not open and smashed into the ground, being destroyed. 7 others opened and landed, but ended up in the middle of a field of landmines, so they can't be recovered at any rate. The last 10 are the biggest mystery. UN officials say that the last 10 pallets drifted away on their way down, and they have no idea where they landed or who ended up with them. These, at the very least, may not have been destroyed and may be feeding somebody, but who is unclear. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports residents and rescue crews on Thursday combed through wreckage left by storms that lashed the eastern United States, killing at least 8 people and injuring scores across a number of states. The storm system on Wednesday pounded the Carolinas and Virginia with high winds, hail, and heavy rain. Flood warnings were in place from Maryland to Maine. The worst hit area of Virginia was Waverly, a town about 130 miles south of Washington, where a tornado packing winds up to 110 miles per hour carved a path 300 yards wide and 9 miles long. 2 men and a 2-year-old boy from Waverly were killed when the twister demolished their mobile home. Their bodies were found about 300 yards away. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe told reporters in the town where streets and yards were filled with debris and downed trees, "It's hard to imagine what people went through when the storm was going on last night." Another man was killed near Appomattox, and a spokeswoman for the state police said the 5th death was still unconfirmed. In South Carolina, a man died on Wednesday when he was struck by a falling tree. Tornadoes pummeled Louisiana and Mississippi on Tuesday, killing at least 3 people. In North Carolina, Governor Pat McCrory said about 21,000 homes and businesses were without power, but there had been no reports of serious injuries or deaths. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports outstanding student loan debt jumped by $29 billion to $1.23 trillion nationwide as the number of delinquent loans remained somewhat steady in the last quarter of 2015, according to the New York Federal Reserve. The percentage of student loan borrowers who are 90 days or more delinquent in payments or who are in default rose from 11.5% in the third quarter of 2015 to 11.6% in the fourth quarter ending December 31st. For comparison, the student loan debt for the same time period in 2014 increased by $31 billion to $1.16 trillion, with about 11.3% of aggregate student loan debt delinquent or in default. As in previous years, the Fed said the current delinquency and default rates are understated because up to half are in deferment, in grace periods, or in forbearance, and therefore temporarily not in the repayment cycle. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Good morning. Later this afternoon, I will be engaging in an extramarital affair. Of course, I will wish that I had never made the horrible mistake I'm about to spend several hours making, but sadly, I'm currently too blinded by greed and lust to care about or consider the consequences of my actions. The liaison I will be taking part in shortly with 2 poor deaf teenage runaways is in direct opposition to the values you elected me to uphold. I also wish to apologize to my wife, Linda, to my 2 beautiful children, Allison and Christopher. It hurts me more than you will ever know that this scandal will impact your life so terribly. I can only pray that the revelations you will soon hear concerning my fetishes, physical flexibility, and penis will not scar you to the point of dementia. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get to the hotel immediately, so I will not be taking questions. Thank you.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. You can bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. Coming up, we'll get back into the story about DARE, Drug Abuse Resistance Education, has removed, apparently, from its website, cannabis as a listed so-called gateway drug. We just barely scratched the surface of that story, and then your calls came in, and you can bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. We had one lady call to allege that she was involved in a case where a child close to her, and I believe it was the actual mom who was calling, but I'm not positive about that. The child close to her was being allegedly molested and having photos taken by her biological father, but that the police were not actually doing anything about it, even though they had apparently alleged, evidence of actual child pornography being taken on a computer device of some sort. Even though they had all of that, they have not done anything, very suspiciously. And she believes that it's because the alleged abuser is connected with the government, because his mom works for the town government. And, well, if the son of the higher up in a town government is brought under suspicion, don't be surprised if somebody manages to make some kind of backroom deal to make that go away.
Well, if that backroom deal involves obstructing a child pornography investigation, that person is looking at serious federal prison time. So
I doubt it. I mean, like, the reality is probably nothing's going to happen, be my guess.
I mean, if it was somebody stealing a little drugs from the evidence locker, that would be a different thing. But people have this really visceral, crazy foam at the mouth type reaction when you deal with children.
Right.
So,
it seems unbelievable that it wouldn't be investigated, but she's claiming that it's not being. And obviously, it's her word versus his word. I've yet to been able to really ferret out what the name of this particular case is, because the article that we read was written by a local blogger in Medford, Oregon, who protected people's names. He did not give out the names in the particular piece, so we still aren't real sure exactly what's going on with that. But on the other hand, it wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of corruption in small towns. The Good Old Boy Network goes deep, and the good old boys, their families are protected.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of question is like what do you do if the government isn't going to provide that service for you, like
of going after a child predator
or any kind of criminal? I mean, like someone could assault me, like beat me up on the street, and as far as I'm aware, the prosecutor doesn't have to prosecute that person.
That's correct. They do not.
Prosecutorial discretion. I'm a big fan of civil lawsuits, by the way. I usually don't recommend filing internal complaints, because when you file an internal complaint with the PD,
just goes right in the circular file.
Yes, they just say, it's always unsustained. The officer is very rarely fired or disciplined. And so, the nice thing, if you're willing to put your name on it, I, TJ, the spy, formally accused Jason Short of the Keene Police Department of beating me, and I'm declaring in civil court I want to go and put my name on it. The nice thing is, if you go into pacer.gov and type in Jason Short, you'll see every accusation of misconduct or unlawful use of force he's been accused of.
In federal court.
In federal court or in state court. That's the nice thing about when you sue an officer, even if you know you're not going to win, it's nice if you type in an officer's name and you see like 5 or 10 cases of excessive use of force. That's public, and I think that's a very important thing to hold police officers accountable. Don't even bother with the internal, complaint, because those are all secret. Those will never see the light of day, and you'll never know how many officers. It's just much better to file a public lawsuit, and if you're willing to put your name out there as a formal accuser, you can evaluate my credibility versus Jason Short's credibility. And by the way, I don't actually personally know Jason Short. I'm sure he's a wonderful officer. I have never met. Well,
he's got his ups and downs.
Well, I know
I've never had any issues with him personally.
I have to plead guilty. I was trying to troll him. So I had a tobacco water pipe I had gotten from Fat Stuff and some tobacco. Okay. And I was sitting in the middle of the town square smoking.
You did this?
Yeah, tobacco. And James was with me.
Why didn't you record this on video?
We did record it and Jason Short was undercover at the time, or he was off duty, and he walked by us, and he saw James next to me, and he's like, okay.
He blew your cover.
He knew it was a troll at that point.
Yeah. It's like,
Can't
obviously,
have James nearby you.
Yeah, if James is nearby me, they know something up. I mean, it's kind of like if I had you nearby me, Ian, they know something is going on. It's not what it seems. And so they have to tread very lightly when you're around.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. We'll go to Paul listening in. Are you in Arizona right now, Paul?
Actually, I'm in Ohio visiting family in the Midwest. And
excellent.
After having recorded almost every session at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, I seem to be the unofficial archivist of record of the Liberty Forum.
Did you record the Edward Snowden interview?
I did indeed. That's why I'm calling in. I'm catching up listening to the podcast, and I heard this big controversy blowing up about it. So I thought I'd call in.
Yeah, I guess for our listeners maybe just tuning in who haven't necessarily been following along since Liberty Forum, Edward Snowden was the big keynote speech at the Liberty Forum this year. Prior to the event, it was asked that people turn off their cameras. Garrett Ian, who was in the audience, did turn his camera off but proceeded to record on audio recording at that point, and released said audio recording to YouTube about 24 hours later. and to a big blow-up within the Liberty community of people who were calling for his head.
Well, that's putting it mildly. A big blow-up. It was a firestorm.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I never saw so many angry people with pitchforks and blowtorches, or not blowtorches, torches.
They were calling for Garrett's head. They were calling for my head to have us both removed from any kind of future events from the Free State Project. The reason I was called for being held up as a problem is because I wouldn't remove Garrett's post from freekeen.com where he posted it, and it ended up being a very interesting conversation that I think came out of it from, I think it was Monday night's show. We had Garrett on as a sort of a guest via Skype. He was on for the entire program, and it led to some interesting philosophical conversations about, well, where does your property rights end? Do your property rights end at my body, or just because I'm in the room with you and you say you can't record, does that mean that I can't record? And ended up being some interesting things to talk about. But Paul, what did you want to add to the discussion? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I heard that announcement too. As myself and my partner created Red Pill Recording. It's a YouTube page, just YouTube/Red Pill Recording, where we put on hundreds of Liberty videos, mostly from New Hampshire Liberty Forum and PorcFest. I specialize in high quality, and so this year I recorded just about every single talk over the weekend in all 4 function rooms. Right off the mixing console, including the Edward Snowden talk.
So you were just pulling audio, or you were
actually
video?
at the mixing console?
No, I had a camera and I've got video.
Okay. Gotcha.
When they said the official FSP team. Now I'm not officially connected with the FSP. They have never communicated to me and said you are hereby dubbed to be the official videographer of this year. Now, we were the official videographers of the Liberty Forum a couple of years ago. I was not contacted at all this year about recording. I just showed up with a couple of cameras and a bunch of recorders, and I noticed that the FSP this year, last year, the Liberty Forum, they had one official camera in the main room. This year, there was no official cameras anywhere except at 2 events, Ed Snowden and the Liberty Awards banquet.
Okay.
So
everything else that got recorded was either somebody, with their own little camera phone or something. Oh, I take that back. There was a gentleman who showed up on on Saturday with his own camera and recorded some of the events in one of the function rooms. So I recorded just about everything else, audio mostly, because I only had 2 cameras and there's 4 function rooms. But yeah, I was one of the cameras in the back of the room recording the entire event. And
so
you
were saying that you violated the request of the Free State Project, just as Garrett did, to stop recording.
Well, since I am, I have been recording these events to benefit the Free State Project with no direct payments to myself since 2009. But I do consider myself, part of the team, since there have been times when I was the official recorder. So I didn't really feel that announcement applied to me.
Well, hold on. I'm
bring it back.
going to tell you why you committed a felony in this state.
Stand by. No. I don't know if that was a felony, but I would be interested to hear
misdemeanor. Excuse me.
I would be interested to hear what you say about that. It's Free Talk Live.
February is National Heart Month, and chances are you have a cardiovascular issue like I do. I help maintain my healthy heart by drinking Super Beets. It's a superfood powder that I mix with water, but you can mix it with yogurt or put it in a smoothie, whatever you want. Not only does it help boost my circulation and support my healthy blood pressure naturally, but I feel the energy and stamina boost in about 20 minutes, which no other superfood formula guarantees. All the beets from Super Beets come from one non-GMO farm in California, so they can keep a close eye on the production of the dietary nitrates. I want you to try this product for National Heart Month. And if you don't feel the results, you don't pay, guaranteed. Get a 30-day supply free with your first order. You also get nitric oxide indicator strips so that you can see it's working. Plus, get the free book, Beat the Odds. And all of this comes with free shipping. Call 800-951-8940 or visit FTLBeats.com. I believe in Super Beats. 800-951-8940, FTLBeats.com.
Hello, my name is Don Wiskin from HeartDrop.com, the distributors of Extendivite, the #1 heart drop that people have been raving about for years. Every February for the last 16 years, HeartDrop.com has had a Heart Month sale to help you stay heart healthy. For only $115 plus shipping and handling, you can get a 4-month supply of Extendivite in either liquid or capsule form to help you get started on your path to better health. Now is the time to stock up. Order what you need. Stay heart healthy all year with the #1 heart drop, Extendivite. To order your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website, heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Several weeks after the car accident that resulted in the death of his longtime friend Matthew Abrams, local man Keith Bisbee told Onion reporters today that he isn't sure how much longer he should continue using the photo of his deceased friend as his profile picture on Facebook.
People can't really expect me to keep this up forever, right?
Bisbee told reporters he felt like he had done more than his part to preserve the young man's memory. Bisbee added, however, that he had no idea when to go about changing his profile picture.
I'm pretty sure nobody would judge me if I went ahead and changed the photo right now. Matt wouldn't expect me to still have a picture of him up. I mean, I wouldn't expect that of him. You know, I should just do it. Maybe I can go online later tonight when nobody's on. When his girlfriend gets home late from work, I don't really want to seem disrespectful. Maybe I could do it tomorrow morning, or...
At this time, Bisbee has reluctantly changed his profile picture to an image of a gay rights equal sign and is, quote, just waiting to see what happens next.
This is the Onion News Network.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here on the radio waves. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you're getting online and you're not protecting yourself, well, you shouldn't be surprised if somebody takes advantage of that at some point. But you can begin to protect yourself very easily by going to proxpn.com and using code FTL50, which will save you 50% off their regular monthly price on virtual private network service. You can go and get it for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android. There's also Linux support as well. ProXPN does encrypt your data right from your computer or mobile device. They've got new servers being added, and they work hard to give you greater speed and security compared to other VPNs. Plus, if you're a Windows user, you can ask ProXPN about changing your DNS settings for even greater anonymity. They accept credit card and Bitcoin. If you use code FTL50, you'll get 50% off the regular monthly price for the lifetime of an annual account. It can be cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee. Go to proxpn.com and use the internet the way it was meant to be used. Use code FTL50 and take back the privacy that is your right at proxpn.com. Paul Gibbons is on the line with us here. He's a longtime attendee at various different Free State Project events like the Liberty Forum and the Porcupine Freedom Festival. You said that you've done some official recording for the Free State Project at these events in the past, but that this year you had not been dubbed or anointed the official recorder, but yet there really wasn't much official recording going on in the event. So when you were told along with the rest of us at the Edward Snowden speech this past weekend, when you were told to turn your camera off, you felt as though it didn't really apply to you, given that you sort of put time in helping the Free State Project out in the past. Is that right, Paul?
Well, I had last weekend I had specific conversations with both Carla Garrick and Jason Sorens.
These are
that
the president and the founder.
only one recording most of the events, and they approved of this. Neither of them said, "But of course we don't want you recording Ed Snowden." Furthermore, I had permission from the guy running the PA system to jack my recorder directly in, and I also the person who was making the official recording knew I was recording it and did not say anything about it. In fact, I offered to have my recording back his up in case anything happened to his.
So by all indicators to you, the fact that one of the Free State Project folks before the event, before the Snowden speech got started, saying turn your cameras off or please turn off your cameras or please stop recording or something to that effect. It was a request, clearly to me, not an order. That really just sort of blew by. It really didn't seem like a big deal. And then you were surprised when people started flipping out about Garrett Ian from freeconcord.org and freekeen.com being piled on because of people being upset about him releasing an unauthorized copy of the event. Is that right?
I think that's basically what that request was made to do. And JJ the other night pointed out that it's the quality. The first thing that people hear is this, very dubious quality recording, which obviously that's what you're going to get if you have a handheld recording in the middle of the room. But there's a big difference between recording. I will support anybody's right to record anything, anywhere, at any time. However, what they do with that recording is a whole different deal. Okay, I think I agree with Garrett that I think that people should be able to record whatever they want to record, and I think it's important for historic events to be recorded multiple times to make sure there isn't some kind of censorship or I mean, remember several years back where the BART station San Francisco
Oscar
cop
Grant
shot somebody.
Yep, Oscar Grant, the shooting of Oscar Grant.
Yeah, they were grabbing everybody's cameras. So, multiple recordings can be incredibly vital. The question, though, is, okay, now what do you do with that recording after you have it? And, I was not planning on releasing my recording of Ed Snowden on the Red Pill Recording YouTube channel until I talked with someone and said, hey, I have this recording. Can I put this up on my channel? And if anyone from the Free State Project were to say, no, we'd rather you hold off on that, I, of course, would respect, because it was their organization that helped create, that put that event together.
Right.
Well, first off, Paul, I'd like to say thank you for your service. I think you do a wonderful job, and you had me fooled. I thought you were the official recorder.
Yeah, I did too.
You're always there. So.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you how you've broken New Hampshire law and are guilty of a misdemeanor.
I don't know if I agree with you, TJ, but go ahead. Let's hear it.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there is the two-party consent rule versus a one-party consent rule. So under federal law, if I am party to a conversation, I have every right to record it under federal law and rebroadcast that as I see fit. It's like right now. I could record what I'm saying to you, no problem. In New Hampshire, we're a two-party consent state, and I come from a no-party consent agency. The NSA, we don't need anybody's consent to intercept somebody's phone call. We just do it and then ask for permission later. So in New Hampshire, a person, it's new revised statutes annotated 570-A:2. It says a person is guilty of a misdemeanor if, except as otherwise specifically provided in this chapter, and without consent of all parties to the communication. That's important. Without consent of all parties. So, in theory, everybody in that room, if they wanted to be recorded,
all-party consent statement.
Anybody who got up to that microphone, I guess you could say they implied consent by getting up and speaking to being recorded. But if somebody got up there and said, "I don't want to be recorded, turn off your recorders," and then proceeded to speak, and you recorded them. The person knowingly intercepted a telecommunication or oral communication when that party was party to the communication without the prior consent of one of the parties to the communicants and without the prior approval. So when you actually read the statute, if Edward Snowden I don't, Edward Snowden would be the victim here. He said, please turn off your phone. Just because you're being recorded officially, that doesn't give Garrett legal authority to record without consent of Edward Snowden to record him.
I think your legal analysis here is faulty, TJ, and let me explain why.
Okay, go ahead.
You didn't
Shoot
take
me
the
down.
time to actually look up the definitions of the words that were being used. You've got to remember when you're dealing with legal land.
Oh, yeah, I know legal land very well.
I know you do, but I'm explaining for the listener who maybe doesn't. When you're in legal land, words appear and they look like English, but they're really not. They're really legalese, and you have to look them up, and you have to make sure that you know what the definitions are. Otherwise, you're not communicating. And so in this case, the definition of oral communication, which appears in what you just read, the definition. So this is what you have to intercept without the consent of the parties. The oral communication means any verbal communication uttered by a person who has a reasonable expectation that the communication is not subject to interception. So, for instance, if I were whispering in your ear, then that would be an oral communication by that definition, meaning that I would not expect anyone outside of immediate whispering range to be able to pick that up. But if you're openly speaking in a room full of hundreds of people that have not been screened for electronic equipment, I don't think that you could have the reasonable expectation that it was not subject to interception.
Yeah, but then, of course, telecommunication means any transfer of any form of information in whole or in part through the facilities of a communication carrier. So
that wasn't going on here. There was Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts was just a telecommunication carrier. I mean, you could argue
but Snowden knew he was being broadcast in a room full of hundreds of people. I got to say, Paul, I don't think you have to worry about.
I don't think the New Hampshire Attorney General is going to bring charges, but it would be kind of.
They could bring the charges, but I think that you would.
I think you'd be found not guilty on the grounds of.
I'm currently not in the state, so.
You're a fleeing misdemeanant.
So I plan on showing up there in the foreseeable future.
Thanks, Paul, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. It's Free Talk Live.
Bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's PROPUR USA.com or call 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love. But make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio waves here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Whether it's recording without permission or whatever happens to be on your mind, you can join us here with you tonight. You've got Ian,
James, and TJ the Spy.
And don't forget, if you want to save big time on your purchases through Amazon, go to saveitpurse.com and get started there. You can save 20%, 50%, 30%, whatever. You decide the discount. Now, Purse is going to take a chunk of your savings, so keep that in mind. The higher your percentage discount, the more of a chunk that they take. But they're still providing you with an amazing service that can result in you saving 20, 30% easily on whatever it is you're buying through Amazon. So whatever item it is you're looking to purchase, you can save big time. The catch is you have to use Bitcoin in order to get these deals. So go to saveitpurse.com. I've been doing it. I haven't bought something normally through Amazon in, I think, about a year of my life because I've been using saveitpurse.com the entire time, and I've saved nearly $1,000 on more than 40 different occasions in total over the last year. It's been amazing, and Bitcoin makes it possible. So get started at saveitpurse.com as we go to the phones and to the fun. Let's go first to Eric in Vegas. Eric, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, James, and TJ.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Eric.
I just want to talk about, one of you made a comment about the police having, what can you do if they don't protect you? And the bottom line to that is not much. If you try to sue them, there's a case called Warren versus District of Columbia, and in that case, they ruled that the police have no specific duty to protect you. Now,
that's correct, and that's one of a myriad of cases like that where the police were called in the Warren case. There were, I think that was the case with the women who were being like raped and murdered,
yelling and screaming, saying "Help us, help us!" and the police responded, and then they didn't go into the resident. They didn't hear.
They didn't respond appropriately based on the call. And ultimately, there ended up being somebody dead in that situation, if I'm recalling correctly. And the women sued, saying, hey, we called you, you should have responded. And the court basically came back, as you said, Eric, and the court said, well, you know, we have the responsibility to protect society, to protect the public in general, but not individuals specifically. And so, no, we do not have an obligation to protect you, the individual. This is what the Warren versus District of Columbia case has said, and there have been a bunch of other ones over the years that have essentially backed up that case.
And I mean, law and order aside, you can actually sue for what's called a writ of mandamus, and that's where you actually force the DA to prosecute a case. So normally prosecutors have discretion to bring a case or not, but if you feel a prosecutor is deliberately not going after a criminal.
So like with the child porn allegations we heard about earlier.
So I mean there was actually a Law and Order on TV, a case, and so they had a writ of mandamus to force the prosecutor to bring criminal charges. The problem is if you bring criminal charges and the defendant gets acquitted, double jeopardy applies, so they can't be tried again. So some prosecutors will say, well, the reason we're not bringing charges at this time is
the case isn't good enough.
We're not certain we could secure a conviction, and so we'd rather wait until we have more evidence. But that's one of the problems with prosecutorial discretion. The prosecutor, if they want to nullify drug laws, like a prosecutor could say, I'm not prosecuting any drug cases, and then all of a sudden, yep, that would be that.
Hey, so Eric, where'd you want to go with that point about the police not being able to or not having an obligation to protect an individual?
Well, essentially, the biggest point is that there's not much you can do. You can't sue them and get damages. And, yeah, you can go for a writ of mandamus, or you can file a police complaint or something like that. But as far as remedies go, that's it. And I think that's why it's important that we all own guns, because the fact of the matter is the courts have ruled your protection is your responsibility and no one else's.
Yeah. Of course, the days, the problem is we've always been told if you have a problem, if there's a fight between two individuals, if you ask a person to leave your bar, well, in the, it's kind of a cliche, but in the old days, in the Wild West, if you didn't leave the bar, they didn't call the sheriff. They just throw you out and, bash you over the head. Or if two people wanted to resolve a dispute and they both agreed to it, they were both drunk and went out behind the bar and wanted to fist fight it out, that was how they resolved their disputes.
I mean, I can just imagine, like in a society with, like, competition, instead of just having the monopoly, like let's say I'm beat up downtown, there'd probably be people like advocates saying like, oh, I want to take your case. Like, let's go get this guy, and I'll take a %.
Yeah. The problem with the police is there's only one option. If you can't resolve a dispute, you call the police, and their tools for dispute resolution are very limited. They can arrest a person. They can say, get out, or they can arrest the person. But, they can't, I mean, what can you do if you arrest somebody? You can throw them in jail. You can fine them. You can take their property.
Community service.
But
restitution. Sometimes there's restitution.
Sometimes restitution. Of course, I always like civil law versus criminal law. So civil law is, Ian, you hit James, pay him $100. Criminal law is, Ian, you hit James, pay me $100. Pay the court, the government, the unaggrieved party $100.
Yeah, that's all true. Eric, any other thoughts you want to add? Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Will. Will Coley is on the line from MuslimsForLiberty.org and also the host of Call to Freedom. Go ahead, Will. You're on via Skype.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing tonight?
Hey, assalamu alaikum.
Oh, alaikum salam. Well, I actually
that sounds like a terrorist language right there. My people at the NSA right now, their antennas are going up. You go ahead,
I'm
sir.
actually calling you guys.
Pretty sure it means peace be with you.
We've started a national campaign today.
Who's we?
It's focusing around a specific legal case, and I'm going to give you guys.
When you say we, you mean the Muslims for Liberty or someone else?
Yeah, Muslims for Liberty.
Okay.
Has started our attempt at a national campaign today. It's based around the decision of prosecutors in the state of Florida with a specific case of a vandalism at a mosque in Titusville. Basically, a gentleman broke into a mosque on New Year's Eve late at night when no one was there. He had a machete in his hand. He broke a machete.
Okay. Sorry, we're losing some packets, so every now and then a word will clip out. So go ahead.
Sorry. And he broke some windows, threw some bacon around the prayer area, and all of this was caught on video. So he was arrested and charged with burglary and vandalism.
Yep.
But because of the sentencing requirements and the multiplier that's added when the hate crimes charge multiplier was added, now this gentleman is looking at life in prison.
Whoa.
Yeah. The possibility of life in prison, according to the Florida Today article that came out.
So this ties right into what you were saying, TJ, where the government's tools are very, very rough. They don't fit the situation very effectively. I mean, I presume you're going to tell me here, Will, that the folks in this mosque would not want to see this guy go to prison for that period of time. That I presume they would just
know that.
You don't know that?
I know that. I do not know that. That's what started this national campaign. The leader of this mosque, and it's not just this mosque, he's actually the head of the Islamic Society of Central Florida, which is a collection of about 14 mosques across Central Florida this Titusville Mosque being a part of that group of 14 mosques. His name is Imam Muhammad Musri. You may remember him as the guy who, during the whole burn the Quran thing in Florida.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Nice, very wonderful gentleman.
Okay. Well, now the Imam who went to speak with them and then created the set of controversy that went along with that is the Imam that's over these mosques. And what we are doing is we are encouraging Muslims and non-Muslims, if they choose to call the ISCF phone number, leave a voicemail for Muhammad Musri, encouraging him to follow the Sunnah, which is to forgive those who have wronged you. Because to give a man a life sentence for something like this, we feel is a complete egregious over.
Would it matter? I want to continue. We'll talk about forgiveness and you know what the Quran has to say about that. If you don't mind, can you hang on with us, Will?
Sure.
All right. More with Will Coley. He's from Muslims for Liberty. But even if this imam wants to drop the charges,
nope.
The state doesn't have to.
The state can say, even though you don't want to go forward, we have the right to prosecute.
855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
The most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses, any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Ely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away 5,000 free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-961-8439. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-961-8439. 1-800-961-8439.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update.
On Friday, gold is down $8 at $1,226 per ounce. Silver is 25 cents lower at $14.95 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 424 US dollars. It's the end of the week and we're seeing a slight sell-off in gold and silver. To take advantage of this, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio waves here, toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Looks like Washington, D.C. has had themselves legalized marijuana now for an entire year. So a look back on what's happened over the last year. We'll get that from the Washington Post here in a few moments. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
Back to the phones and to the fun, where Will Coley is on the line from Muslims for Liberty. That's Muslims, the number 4, liberty.org is the website. You're launching a new national publicity campaign where you're asking for forgiveness to be given to a vandal of a Florida mosque. If I'm recalling your story correctly, someone went into a mosque. They threw bacon all over the place, which is a pretty unfriendly thing to do. I imagine that created quite a mess. But ultimately, it sounds like a mess that could have been cleaned up given the right amount of time and money and effort. And so therefore, there should be a dollar value that one could assign to that particular vandalism, that if the mosque were to receive that dollar value, that they would be able to pay off whoever it was they had to hire to clean up, and have some extra money on top for the frustration and the difficulty that it created. But what you're telling us, Will, is that apparently the state's coming after these people full gusto, or this person, the vandal in this case, and he's facing, did you say life in prison?
There is a possibility that he will get life in prison. That is correct. And
so you're saying that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, you're saying that as a Muslim, that you don't believe this is appropriate. Well, no. The Quran, chapter 42, verse 40, and I'm just paraphrasing here, it basically says that if you are wronged, then you cannot seek recompense for that wrong above what you were wronged. So if I broke a $500 window in your house, I don't owe you $50,000. I owe you $500 and an apology. That's what I owe you, because you wronged me to this degree, and I am owed to that degree. Now, isn't there something more than apology that's due? Because, I mean, if you break a $500 window, you're then requiring me to spend my time on you, as opposed to what I would prefer to spend my time on. I would prefer to spend my time, building this radio show or working with LRN.FM or doing some Liberty outreach. But if instead I have to spend my time calling a window repair, supply center to get quotes on repairing the window, by the time all is said and done, even if it's $500 to repair the window, there was some of my time and effort that had been spent on this. Is that not an appropriate thing to restitute for? I'm not saying it was $50,000 worth of time and effort, but, it might be another couple $100. Well, yeah, and a judge would make that decision, but a man's life is not worth vandalism, a few broken windows, and some bacon thrown around. Definitely not. And because of the fact that Islam says justice is is the opposite. Oh, you just broke up. We lost some packets. You were saying Islam said what? Well, Islam says that justice should be tit for tat, so to speak. And this is the opposite of that. This is a gross miscarriage of justice, where a man's life will be taken for, a $15,000 crime. And let's give it a high dollar amount for, like you said, for the stress, for the damages, the cleaning. Let's give it a high dollar amount. A man's life is still worth more than that amount of money. Agree. And what the sunnah is, the statements of the people who knew Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly say, is that there was never a time that a case was brought before Muhammad that required some sort of punishment. Someone murdered someone assaulted someone stole something, that Muhammad didn't encourage the victim to forgive
the person who had committed the act against them, even up to and murder, where a man's brother was murdered. The man was found guilty of the murder, and the Prophet ﷺ encouraged the family of the murder victim to forgive the man who had committed the act rather than him be executed. So this is a sunnah. This is something that is foundational in Islam. And what we're asking is, because of the fact that the state has decided to create this gross miscarriage of justice, that the victims themselves, the Islamic Society of Central Florida, at the very least, release a public statement stating that they see this punishment as too much. And my best hope is that they will specifically forgive and ask the state to drop the charges, because that would be the best example of what Muslims should do to our neighbors and to this man who committed this act of hatred against Muslims.
So what you're saying is that your perspective on this man who created all this damage, he committed an actual crime of vandalism against this mosque in Florida. You're saying that the true Islamic response would be forgiveness, as recommended by Muhammad. Is that right?
That is correct. And what we're asking is, we're encouraging people who agree with that and who think that this is a miscarriage of justice, not idiots who want to call and cuss Muslims out and leave nasty messages, because just so you know, if you use this phone number and do that, you will set our efforts to get this man forgiven back.
Oh,
rather
let the
than
trolls
help it
be
forward.
free.
Yeah.
The trolls are going to come out, sir, now that you said that.
If you have the inclination to do so, we ask that you call 407-273-8363 and ask to leave a voicemail for Imam Musri, and simply encourage him to forgive the perpetrator, because that is what Islam calls for.
Well, you know what's even more perverse is, even if the victim says, look, I don't want to prosecute this, the defendant paid me, he made full restitution, the state can say, too bad, we're going to go to trial.
We want to fill a prison cell.
And if you refuse to testify, Mr. Victim, we're going to throw you in jail for contempt of court.
That's crazy. Hey, Will, thanks for the call, and I'm sure you'll keep your listeners up to date on your radio show, The Call to Freedom, which airs Sunday nights on LRN.FM, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Thanks for the call tonight. That's Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty.
Yeah,
TJ, you look confused.
I'm a little bit confused.
It's rare that you were confused.
I'm just looking at Ian. I'm like, yeah, Ian, so you hit me, you hurt me, and okay, you pay me $500 to kind of say I'm sorry. But I've gone to the Keene PD and I've said, he hit me, and they say, well, Mr. Freeman, you're under arrest. And I say, you know what, Ian's made me whole, and I don't want to go forward with the trial. Well, too bad.
Too bad.
We are going to go forward and arrest him, and if you refuse to go, because we're the state, and we are the ones who get to decide whether Mr. Freeman goes to jail, not Mr. Victim. Now,
this is why that people should, the last resort should be to call the state.
Yeah.
That if you can't resolve your issues with people, that the state is they should be the very last resort, and you should only really do that with the most utter caution, because you need to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Now, the converse, or the argument, I guess, to support the idea of the state moving forward with charges, is that the state would be independent of perhaps being threatened, for instance. So the idea being that if somebody commits some sort of violent act against you, TJ, and they don't actually make good, but they want you to tell the police that they have made good, or else they're going to kill your mother or something like that, that kind of threatening approach would result in people going to the state and saying, look, everything's okay, just go ahead and drop the charges.
What's to stop me? I go before the stand and say, no, I made it all up because he's threatening my family, so I'm not going to say that. But, the mob bosses would always get to the family and they say, well, I changed my testimony now. And then it's kind of interesting how the state will threaten say, well, if you change your testimony now, we're going to arrest you for filing a false police report, or if you obstruction of justice or some other charge. And I always thought, look, if you have a victim, if you're the victim of a crime and you go to the state and say, I want to press charges, and if at some point later you say, I don't want to press charges, most of the time the prosecutor will respect that, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes the prosecutor, they really want to get somebody, and if you're just happen to have accused the right person and the prosecutor wants to put a feather in his cap or make a name for himself, they can be like, no, we are going to go to trial.
And it won't matter what kind of difficulty that causes you. Yeah. If you were fully prepared to repair a relationship with somebody, let's say they lost it and they were drunk and they did some things they didn't mean to do, but then later they were sorry and they made good after you'd already made the mistake of bringing the police in to the situation. The police want to continue moving forward with that. They won't care what kind of damage it does to your relationship with this guy, because the other guy might, the drunk guy might say, "Hey TJ, I thought you cared about me. I thought we put this behind us, but these cops keep coming with these charges." And then you can say, "Well, look, I'm sorry, I didn't know they were going to do that." Well, now they could do that. If you call the police in, it's like pulling the fire alarm. You don't know what's going to happen when the firemen show up.
I mean that's the other thing is there's no mediation of response. So I had a minor medical emergency, nothing too severe, but I didn't want to call the police because they're not going to send one ambulance. They're going to send 4 fire trucks, a medevac helicopter,
and then you get
3
billed
cop
for it
cars,
later.
And then they're going to say, "Yeah, that's $20,000." So I'm very hesitant to call the police even when I have a crisis type situation. I only call them if it is life or death, very clearly life or death.
The toll-free number for you to call us, where it doesn't matter if it's life or death. 855-450-FREE. But hopefully it won't be death. It's Free Talk Live. Hour 3's on the way.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-719-9349. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-719-9349. That's 1-800-719-9349. 1-800-719-9349.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, February 26, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.14 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,237 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports the UN made much of its airdrop of 21 tons of food to the Syrian city of Deir ez-Zor, at present controlled largely by the Islamic State, but contested in fighting with Syrian troops. On Thursday, the UN admitted that all 21 tons ended up either destroyed or lost. Fearing that they'd get targeted by missiles, the plane flew at high altitude and dropped the 21 pallets of food from up there, figuring they'd just parachute down to the drop area. That did not work exactly as well as they'd hoped. 4 of the parachutes of the 21 pallets just flat out did not open and smashed into the ground, being destroyed. 7 others opened and landed, but ended up in the middle of a field of landmines, so they can't be recovered at any rate. The last 10 are the biggest mystery. UN officials say that the last 10 pallets drifted away on their way down, and they have no idea where they landed or who ended up with them. These, at the very least, may not have been destroyed and may be feeding somebody, but who is unclear. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports residents and rescue crews on Thursday combed through wreckage left by storms that lashed the eastern United States, killing at least 8 people and injuring scores across a number of states. The storm system on Wednesday pounded the Carolinas and Virginia with high winds, hail, and heavy rain. Flood warnings were in place from Maryland to Maine. The worst hit area of Virginia was Waverly, a town about 130 miles south of Washington, where a tornado packing winds up to 110 miles per hour carved a path 300 yards wide and 9 miles long. 2 men and a 2-year-old boy from Waverly were killed when the twister demolished their mobile home. Their bodies were found about 300 yards away. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe told reporters in the town where streets and yards were filled with debris and downed trees, "It's hard to imagine what people went through when the storm was going on last night." Another man was killed near Appomattox, and a spokeswoman for the state police said the 5th death was still unconfirmed. In South Carolina, a man died on Wednesday when he was struck by a falling tree. Tornadoes pummeled Louisiana and Mississippi on Tuesday, killing at least 3 people. In North Carolina, Governor Pat McCrory said about 21,000 homes and businesses were without power, but there had been no reports of serious injuries or deaths. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports outstanding student loan debt jumped by $29 billion to $1.23 trillion nationwide as the number of delinquent loans remained somewhat steady in the last quarter of 2015, according to the New York Federal Reserve. The percentage of student loan borrowers who are 90 days or more delinquent in payments or who are in default rose from 11.5% in the third quarter of 2015 to 11.6% in the fourth quarter ending December 31st. For comparison, the student loan debt for the same time period in 2014 increased by $31 billion to $1.16 trillion, with about 11.3% of aggregate student loan debt delinquent or in default. As in previous years, the Fed said the current delinquency and default rates are understated because up to half are in deferment, in grace periods, or in forbearance, and therefore temporarily not in the repayment cycle. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
In a statement this week, famed actor and television icon Dick Van Dyke confessed to being the Zodiac Killer, responsible for terrorizing Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The 85-year-old actor, known for his television and film appearances in classics such as Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins, and The Dick Van Dyke Show, said he committed the Zodiac murders but also killed over 37 additional people. Van Dyke said, quote, "It was unbelievably easy for me to go kill someone, come back to Burbank, and get on set. It was actually part of the fun to see if I could book a flight and make it back in time." Van Dyke's confession is corroborated by several eyewitnesses describing the Zodiac Killer as, quote, "a gangly, loose-limbed man with a toothy grin and a spring in his step." In other news, the open dialogue two Americans are having about race is pretty hilarious. A husband is experimenting with an open marriage, and a f***ing loser is at a movie all by himself. This episode of The Onion Week in Review was paid for, funded, and entirely created by The Onion, and in no way benefited from cheap, thankless viewers like you. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. You can join us here on the radio waves. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We've talked about the mosque vandal in Florida, the Folks from Muslims for Liberty are saying he should be forgiven, that he doesn't need to be going to prison for the rest of his life.
Yes.
That's also the gateway drug list over at the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program, DARE, has been modified quietly at some point. This story coming from the Sun-Times at suntimes.com, story posted yesterday. So relatively recent news. At some point within the last year, the folks over at DARE have removed cannabis from their list of gateway drugs. We can continue with that. You can also bring up whatever's on your mind. And D.C. celebrating 1 year with legalized marijuana. We'll get a little look back from the Washington Post. But first, Dave is in New Hampshire. Dave, you're on with Ian, James, and TJ the Spy. Hello, Dave.
Yeah, I wanted to update you about a case that really hasn't been getting enough press attention. It's kind of been happening under the radar of the mainstream press. But the Jonathan Irish case with the feds and the him allegedly selling them weapons he wasn't supposed to sell them.
This is the guy who longtime listeners of the show will remember, and longtime viewers of your channel, Dave Ridley, at RidleyReport.com, will remember Jonathan Irish. His child was taken from him and his wife years ago. This is what kind of first put him on the radar of some of the liberty activists up here. And I forget the details around that particular case. I know he did get his, I don't know if it was his daughter or his son, but their newborn. They did get it back at some point and figured they would be able to move ahead with their family life, but then someone set him up for a gun buy, some sort of sawed-off shotgun or something like that.
So here's I got the skinny on this. So you are allowed to make a gun yourself. You may make a firearm, a lower receiver for an AR-15. So it's the thing that holds the barrel, the trigger mechanism. It's just this little metal box. Mm-hmm. That is the actual firearmy thing under the the Gun Control Act of 1968. So it is perfectly legal for you as a private citizen to make your own AR-15 lower. However, the moment you do it for commerce, in other words, a business, you are affecting interstate commerce. Therefore, under Wicker v. Filburn, the U.S. federal government has jurisdiction. He was charged with making and selling self-built assault rifles, so he was doing it for a friend for profit. Mm-hmm. So it's okay if I make an AR-15 lower, like if I 3D print an AR-15 lower, it doesn't need a serial number, it doesn't need to have a maker's mark or any type of identification.
Because it's for you.
It's for me. I can even sell it to you. But the moment it becomes a business, then I need a federal firearms license, an FFL. In particular, you need a Class 6. So there's different classes. So
to sell something?
Well, in FFL, most of them are dealers, so you're not allowed to make firearms. If you make firearms, that's a different federal firearms license than simply selling them.
So this was an undercover agent, correct, Dave Ridley, that set him up?
Well, that's the impression I got. I do know that Phil Christiana, the FBI agent...
Yeah, he was the one that got Rich Paul, or almost got Rich Paul to wear a wire to the CAC, yeah.
I don't know if he was the undercover agent, but he was involved in this case pretty heavily. And I've met him. He's someone that the Free Staters are pretty familiar with.
Oh, yes.
So he's the one that investigated Russell Canning when Canning decided he was going to try and get on an airplane without ID back in 2005. He came to Keene to investigate him, and then they followed him to the airport, or at least, FBI agents did, and Christiana was at the airport. But yeah, what's the news in the Jonathan Irish case is that he has moved. He's filed a motion, I guess, with the court to vacate or set aside his sentence under this. I think he's already served his time for the failure to have a license, transgression while trying to engage in commerce, I guess.
So what I'd like to point out here is he didn't do anything hurtful. There's no victim. He committed a paperwork violation. So you can actually, if he got the right, if he paid the $1,000 or $2,000 a year and got the permission slip from the government, he could make as many AR-15 lowers as he want. He'd have to put his company's name on it. He'd have to engrave each one with a serial number, and then he'd have to transmit them to FFL holders where they could be sold. So whenever you buy like a
it would be helpful to society what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And the thing that really hacks me off is that people gripe about him not being wealthy enough or having been on welfare at some point. But when he tries to work a normal job, and tries to engage in commerce in some way, he's taken down. So if you're not allowed to engage in commerce, it's pretty inappropriate to be criticizing someone for having accepted government assistance in the past, or for having not being privileged enough. It just gets me. But the other thing is that I guess the reason that he's filing the motion is that he wasn't allowed to fire his attorney. They forced him to have an attorney that he didn't want, and that wasn't answering his. He alleges wasn't communicating with him. Mm-hmm. The lawyer who filed the brief, I guess Jonathan sent me this about 3 days ago, but the lawyer who is filing it for him is Brandon Ross, and isn't he a Free Stater?
He is a Free Stater, yes.
Yeah, so that's another interesting connection there. But I just wanted to, let you know that this is not over, and Irish is still fighting. Fighting Irish.
Yeah.
Well,
sadly.
I actually have a piece of advice for all the listeners out there, and it actually ties into a project that I'm involved with, the PACER Brigade project. So PACER stands for Public Access to Court Electronic Records. It's the federal government's court docket system. So any criminal...
It's online.
It's all online. You go to pacer.gov, PACER.gov. You can sign up for an account for free. You don't need to give a credit card number, but they will have to mail you a piece of paper with an identification code to verify your address. However, if you do list a credit card, they only charge $1, and then they immediately reverse it just to make sure it's valid. And this is the kicker. As long as you don't run up more than $15 of charges per quarter, they don't charge your credit card. So $15.10, they charge you the whole kit and caboodle, but if it's $15 and under, nothing. And it's 10 cents a page. So if you have on your laptop or desktop, you go and you download the Recap plugin. That's Pacer spelled backwards. You install that plugin.
For Chrome, I believe, and Firefox.
For Chrome and for Firefox. So you'll need to do this on your desktop or your laptop. But you sign up, install the plugin, the Recap plugin, which is part of Princeton University's Recap the Law project. Go to pacer.gov, sign up for an account, and then download 150 pages or $15 worth of documents. It is kind of ridiculous, but it'll automatically re-upload the documents you download to internetarchive.org. And that's what I've done with the Fat Stuff case. So anybody who wants to look at
just to be clear, the plugin you're talking about detects when you go to Pacer's website.
Yeah.
It detects whenever there's something that you've downloaded from Pacer, and it automatically uploads those government documents to Recap's website
on internetarchive.org.
Internet Archive.
That's the Wayback Machine.
Basically, what Recap is doing is they're taking items out of Pacer and they're building their own independent database of the stuff from Pacer, to where anyone who has the Recap plugin will then be able to just simply access those documents from Recap rather than having to pay for them through the Pacer system. Is that right?
That is correct.
So they're trying to crowdsource, essentially copying as much of the federal database as possible.
These are not copyrighted documents. They're in the public domain.
But they're
behind a paywall.
Right.
So you have to pay 10 cents per electronic page. So if you download like a 20-page PDF, it's $2. But with Recap, when I download that 20-page PDF and get charged $2, it automatically re-uploads it to Internet Archive. So anyone who wants to see that document in the future, they don't have to pay the $2. Now,
does the Recap plugin indicate, like when you're on the Pacer site, like, oh, we already have a copy of this? You don't need to download
that it does.
Okay, very, very sharp.
I mean, I've actually thought
You convinced me to do this.
Yes, I kind of harassed you. I kind of did a bunch of favors for you. And I'm like, Ian, you could give your name that the federal government already has and sign up for a Pacer account and help me.
So if you wanted to research the Jonathan Irish case, you could go and do that.
Yes.
If it wasn't already on
And that's what I'm
Recap.
actually going to be doing tonight.
If it wasn't already on Recap, it will be by the end of the show.
Dave, you gave me something to do after the show.
Hey, thanks, Dave, for your call tonight. Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, and the website you're talking about was Recap?
Pacer.gov and Recap.
And recap.org, was it? It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Hi, my name is Nick Lupo. One World Whey has been by far the best protein that I've ever had. I take it 3 times a day. Once in the morning as soon as I wake, once for a pre-workout snack, and once for a post-workout recovery drink. It has helped me transform and sculpt my body into what I have now. I began taking the product about 2 years ago, and boy, let me tell you, I'm in the best shape of my life. I've seen major muscle mass gains and have 0% body fat. I have had people at my gym ask if I compete in bodybuilding because of how lean and muscular I am. I used to suffer from everyday aches and pains from hard manual labor my whole life, and arthritis that runs through my family. But One World Whey has helped me take that everyday pain from a 10 to a 3. Some days I feel no pain at all, just full of life and energy. It has also helped my skin look younger and healthier. Thank you, Synergistic Nutrition, for One World Whey.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworldwhey.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, inviting you to join us here on the toll-free numbers, which are 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username here is lrn.fm. As we continue, we'll take your calls about whatever happens to be on your mind. Plus, D.C. celebrating 1 year of legalized cannabis. What does it mean, a year later, looking back? They'll do that over at the Washington Post. We'll share that with you if we get the chance. But first, to the phones and to the fun. Let's go to Ralph in New Jersey. Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, James, and TJ.
Yes, indeed.
Hi, Ralph.
As you very well know in the news, Governor Chris Christie, when he was still campaigning in New Hampshire, I referred to him as white guilty. And for good reason, has finally come around to throwing his endorsement and support for the Trump man. Go, Trump, go. And
so
wait
now
to
you're a
go.
fan of Christie. So before you didn't like him, now you like him.
Well. I mean, probably I was the pivotal point for that was a call to a radio station here by yours truly. Dropping some hint about him being, somewhat suitable to be nominated to the Supreme Court. Okay, but that being said, since the topic of the police came up tonight, I want to talk about El Negro Animal, the war on police. Okay, and the white guilty behind that.
That is not a very nice thing to say. Are you saying that black people are animals?
Well, no, I'm talking about Obama now.
You're talking about Obama? You're saying he's an animal?
Okay.
By the way, Ian, I am totally not listening to this. I'm actually uploading documents on Pacer right now. So
okay, well, I'd appreciate it if you listen as a co-host of the show. You should be paying attention. Anyway, Ralph, so go ahead.
Action speaks louder than word as far as this man Obama is concerned. So, well, you definitely can say.
But why the insults? Why not? Single out things that he's done that you don't like, rather than calling him a Negro animal? I mean,
I will talk in generalities if you don't mind. If you don't, do you mind?
You can say whatever you want. I'm just asking you why you don't specifically. I mean, because calling names seems very preschool. Seems very playground.
Action speaks louder. If I have the inclination to refer to blacks as animals, that speaks for itself.
It does speak for you as a racist. Is that what you are?
Oh, now we really come full circle.
Is that what you are?
Now we really come full circle. This is typical of white guilt.
Are you suffering from white guilt, Ralph?
Ralph is from the Philippines.
He still might be suffering from it.
Anyone else is racist but you. Okay?
No, I didn't say everyone else was racist. I asked you if you are a racist, given that you just said that you want to call black people animals.
Why would you come to that? I mean, the action that was. What happened in Baltimore? What do you call that? What do you call that action?
You're talking about when the police.
I call it a riot, I think.
You're talking about when there were people in the streets protesting police abuse?
At least that's what the media called it, riots.
Protesting what?
Protesting the abuse of the police?
We already got the trial of this cop, right? And he never was proven to be abusing a person who... And he happens to be...
You're talking about the cop that put the man in the back of the van and then drove around until he died?
Wait a second, Ralph.
We already got the trial, did we not?
Wait a second, so...
We already got the trial.
I don't think he went to trial.
If people are mad enough that they're going out to the streets and, they feel that they have no other recourse and, they are...
It's not just Baltimore, by the way. Ferguson, too. And look at
all right, I would like
thing.
to hear what James has to say. Go ahead. I'm going to put Ralph on hold. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, like, if people feel like they can't get, I guess, any satisfaction from the system, like, of course they're going to
take to the streets.
Yeah, they're going to take to the streets, and sometimes it turns ugly.
Go ahead, Ralph.
And how does looting, burning, and rioting get them justice?
Well, it gets attention, and it says... It says to the rest of society, wow, there's something really effed up here.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ralph. I appreciate it. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE.
I got a quick story. So, when I was working...
But before you go on with the story, I agree with Ralph that getting into the streets and protesting doesn't get you justice. That doesn't happen. One thing does not lead to the other.
It gets you attention, though. So when I was, a corporate cost accountant, I had one of those water cooler moments, and... people at work,
what does that mean? A water cooler moment?
Like, well, I guess it was really the refrigerator moment, the break room moment, because, I was like getting my breakfast, coffee or whatever. But, this lady, she worked, she did like environmental stuff. She came in and, like pretty much politics was never discussed. I mean, like on occasion it would be discussed. But she said that morning, she said, "Oh, did you hear what's going on in Ferguson?" And so it's like what I consider a quote unquote more like normal person, like maybe someone that's not as concerned with, police abuse as someone like I would be.
It put her on the radar, or she.
That's right. She said, "Wow, there might really be a problem here." I probably agree. Like it's not good that there's destruction, but
right.
if you feel like you have no other alternatives, I mean, I have empathy for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand that, because if they had just gone to a city council meeting and taken their 3 minutes to speak, as you get at some city council meetings. We don't get that here in Keene, but in some places you can actually talk to the city council at their regular meetings, and they go up and they talk to them and they say, Mr. and Mrs. Councilors, I say that the police are out of control in this Baltimore. There's a man who was killed by the police. He was in the back of their van, and he is now dead. Some are calling this a nickel ride, and it appears that he died at the hands of these police, either on purpose or at the very least through negligence, and this deserves to be investigated.
Well, we'll form a committee, and we'll have an oversight board, which won't do anything.
They won't even do that. They'll say, thanks for your time. Next.
We'll take it under advisement.
We really appreciate your input.
And that's not going to get any kind of publicity. That's not going to get not going to make a splash in the news media. The media is not going to care. They're not even going to be there to cover you saying that. They're not. If there's media in the room, and there might be, like at each city council meeting, usually the local newspaper sends a reporter. There might be a reporter from the local, television station, maybe. So even if there was media in the room, they still wouldn't take it seriously, because it's just somebody spouting off at the city council. People do that every week. People come and they complain about how the police did this. Or they complain because the water wasn't tasting good, or they complain about whatever. And it's just not news. Until people take to the streets, until they demand that their voices be heard, it's just not news. And even then, it doesn't result in any real significant change. Even then, you get 100 people out in the streets, or hundreds of people in the streets. You'll get news coverage. You'll get politicians acting like they care. But at the end of the day, the police are not going to be neutered. The police are not going to lose their toys. They're not going to lose the Bearcat.
And put yourself in their shoes. I mean, like imagine what would
shoes of the cops,
or in the people like protesting. Like, what would the police have to do to your community to like piss you off enough where you're going to go out there and confront them and be like, "We're tired of this crap."
It'd have to be something pretty serious, because you're going up against corrupt cops, and you know that if they want to, they can hurt you too. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. So I've got a lot of respect for the people that take it to the streets. I don't support people who use violence in the streets. I don't support the people who use destruction of property in the streets. Unless it's against the government, then I don't really care. Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't pick on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to play online poker with Bitcoin, you need a site that's trustworthy and technically sound. The site managers of swcpoker.eu have proven their commitment to bringing you great gameplay from a site you can trust, swcpoker.eu. They have lots of new games too, including Chinese poker, and their Krill leaderboard is open right now. It's a beautiful site, easy to use with lots of players. Go on over to swcpoker.eu now and have some fun with your Bitcoin. swcpoker.eu.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
You can tell by the way they're dressed, by their demeanor, that these are illegal. Okay. Do you understand that they bring in leprosy and tuberculosis?
God, here's the leprosy. Show me the news story about leprosy and not some crackpot website.
Do you understand this is our country and this is about our children?
Wait, stop the jingoistic crap. You're picking and choosing. You're saying that a bunch of murdering, raping lepers are coming across the border.
Oh, yes, they are.
No, that's nuts, Trish.
There's a leprosy colony.
If that was the case, then in fact we would all know about it. I mean, it sounds like the night of the living dead down there at the border, and they're just coming across looking for the brains.
You think CNN and Fox News is going to tell you this? You got another thing coming.
Why wouldn't they? It'd be great for ratings.
By design, it's meant to bring this country.
Oh, now there's a conspiracy behind it, right? You're going to tell me the NWO's behind all this?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And in the studio tonight here, you've got Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
And don't forget, you can join us on via Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM, so feel free to reach out to us that way if you like. So we started the show out with a brief bit of news about the DARE program, which studies have shown is basically completely useless as far as trying to teach kids not to do drugs. It was interesting, TJ, you said that there have been more than one study done on DARE and that they basically showed that it has no real effect.
Oh, yeah. To Harvard, Texas A&M, Indiana, the Surgeon General, National Institute for Justice, they all said it doesn't work.
But I'm surprised that that it actually doesn't create the opposite of its intended results, that it's essentially a null, that it doesn't do anything.
Well, be thankful. That's the,
because DARE turns people on to drugs, if you think about it. Like, there's a lot of young people who probably find out, I would never have heard of barbiturates had I not gone to DARE class.
Yes.
I don't know of where you go to get barbiturates. I imagine you could go on the Silk Road
kids,
or wherever.
There's this thing called the Silk Road and Bitcoin.
Right, but beyond that, but before that, as a young person growing up, I never encountered, hey, kids, you want to get some barbiturates? What is the street slang for barbiturates? I wouldn't even know. Is it...
Yeah.
What qualifies as that?
Yeah.
I have never even, it's never come across my purview. So anyway, DARE class introduces people to drugs that they otherwise wouldn't necessarily even know about.
If I were to craft a curriculum for young people, say the ages of 13 to 18, I would have things like, if you're going to take opioids, don't take more than 5 milligrams of diacetylmorphine. Oral ingestion is safer than insufflation. Insufflation is safer than injection, intravenous injection.
Well, I would have a harm reduction class.
Yeah, harm reduction. By the way, kids, if you're going to take 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine, otherwise called MDMA or ecstasy or Molly, here's the Mandolin, Marquis, Simpson, and Mac reagents, and we put them on our pipette plate.
Now that would be a useful science class.
See,
yes,
school doesn't actually teach you useful skills, though. Like imagine like how to balance a checkbook or
File
how to
taxes.
Well, I would not teach you that one, but how to fix a toilet, a leaky toilet.
Well, thank God our kids know
sink.
what a haiku is. You know, like we all know a haiku is a Japanese 575. It's a Japanese form of poetry. But when you ask a kid like, what are the basis of contract law, or how do you get a lease, or how do you unclog a toilet, or how do you change the oil in your car, something actually useful, they don't teach that in public school.
I took calculus and
got an A in it.
I got an A, and I don't know, there's a thing called the chain rule, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the heck it's for.
I make fun of him mercilessly. I go, so James, what's the difference between you and someone who never took the class? Because both the person who never took the class
James has an A,
and you who got an A but don't remember anything, I would say you both can't do calculus.
Right.
Yeah, I can't do calculus.
And I said, don't.
But James might be able to fool someone into thinking he can do calculus by showing his school records.
I mean, he mentioned that we were snuggling one night, and he said, oh, yeah, I got an A in calculus. And so I immediately said, okay, what's the derivative of 5x squared or something? And you should be able to 10x, something just very, very simple that any Calc 1 student.
Or, another one is like geometry. There's only one time in my life that I actually used that, and I was doing construction. But other than that, I've never, ever used any of those formulas.
Like torture.
Was it the Pythagorean theorem?
It was, so...
A squared plus B squared equals C squared
for a right triangle.
It was like it was a circle. I had like 21 pieces of rebar or something. I don't remember exactly. So I had to find out how long the circle was and then divide it by the number of pieces of rebar to figure out how to space them evenly, because the blueprints didn't specify. But pretty much every other time you build stuff, like the blueprints tell you,
it's
like
got all the details.
Yeah, like put it like 20 inches apart or whatever.
Because you can't expect your construction crew to know calculus.
Well, no,
geometry.
just simple mathematics. I mean, that's the thing is, we are a very enumerate society. I mean, so
enumerate meaning one who does
it's
not
like
know
illiteracy.
how numbers
So illiterate is someone
work?
who can't read. Enumerate is someone who can't handle basic numbers.
Okay.
So I'm not talking about calculus or
you're talking about adding, subtracting, the most basic of
basic concepts.
math.
So like if I said the $1 trillion bank bailout, what does that mean? I mean, a trillion's a really big number. It's 10 to the 12th. It's 1 followed by 12 zero. It's a million millions. It's 1,000 billions. But how much is it? Well, it's a little different, and this is one thing that always irks me about public like newspapers. They'll say $1 trillion bank bailout or $1 trillion spending program, and if you say, well, there's 300 million Americans, so if every American gave $1,000, that would be $300 billion. Well, you multiply by 3.3, you got 10. So if every American gave $3,333.33, that would give $1 trillion.
And
so,
I would argue like maybe we don't even need to know that much about math. And like one thing I like to joke about is like, it's like, okay, Google, what's the chain rule? According to Wikipedia, this is the chain
rule.
The
reason I think this is important, if we say the defense budget is $600 billion, so the United States Department of Defense, the Navy, Army, Air Force, and everything else, $600 billion a year, about a third of it's for equipment, F-22 fighter jets and tanks and that kind of stuff. A third is for research and development. A third is for personnel, salaries for the soldiers. And you can get this at the Office of Management and Budget. You can download this beautiful 600-page document that it goes department by department, tells you how important each department is, Department of Defense, and why it's important, and then it'll give you a breakdown of the costs. But the $600 billion per year number is very important. Every man, woman, and child, every infant, every person you see on the street, every year they have to pay $2,000 to pay for the Department of Defense.
In theory, if you're just dividing the numbers, but not everyone pays for income
Well, if
taxes.
you figure you're an average person, so if you're a family of four, just say you pay $8,000 per year for the Department of Defense. That's what I do when I tell people. I say, hey, you have a wife? Yeah. You have 2 kids? Yeah. You need to write a check for $8,000 to cover your share of the defense budget. All of a sudden, the idea of numbers, breaking it down to per capita cost, because $1 trillion.
Well, it's hard to envision $1 trillion, right? It's hard to really.
Nobody can envision 600 billion, a million, billion, trillion. These are meaningless numbers to your average folks.
Let's go to the phones here. James is on the line in Arizona. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, James. Hello.
It's funny, Ian, I heard you bashing the Pope last week. I know you called the Old Testament a horrible book, and you've said things like, I could care less about what comes out of his pie hole, speaking of the pontiff. But I won't call you a bigot, even though you are. But when Will Phoney from Muslims from Liberty calls in...
Actually, I think I complimented the Pope last week. But anyway, go ahead.
Really? I know you guys were bashing him.
Yeah, because I think he went up against, wasn't it Donald Trump? Didn't the Pope?
Yeah, he called him not Christian. Good for you, but you're not Christian either.
I never claimed to be.
Yeah, no. Ian's like one of those weird New Agey things.
Hitler or Timothy McVeigh. Like
I call Ian a poopy head all the time. Like, I'll go onto FreeCon, and I'll just add, poopy head or insult Ian gratuitously.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah.
TJ, what's this show called? Because last time I asked you a simple question, you lied straight out of your eye hole. But I know, seeing that you're not a person that's spiritual or fears Jesus, you think it's okay to lie. So I'll ask James Cleveland the same question. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
So now, last time I asked TJ, the spy, the liar that he is, why do you think the San Bernardino murderers committed mass murder? What do you think they were inspired by? And by the way, just so before you accuse me of something, I'm not talking about people like Will Phoney, Muslims for Liberty. Not him people, but he's actually Muslim. Murderers are not Muslims. They're not Catholics. They're not Christians. They're murderers. So I don't brand them with religiosity that they don't have or represent, like you guys do all the time, except for when it comes to talking about, well, of course, Will Phoney. But anyway, James, what do you think inspired them? And don't tell me that they're lunatics like TJ did, because then that's actually a medical evaluation that would get them off.
I honestly don't know.
What do you think inspired them, James?
I would say the media says they're Islamic terrorists, so I would take a gander that they're Islamic terrorists, and they're lunatics too. Would you deny that?
No, I wouldn't call. I don't call murderers lunatics, because that's a culpable defense in a court of law, even if you know anything about law. Okay, when you call somebody a lunatic, that is making a medical evaluation. No, they knew full well what they were doing.
Thanks for the call tonight. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. We'll talk crazy coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care, as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The Empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain, but enough time for you. If you want to join us now, our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can help Free Talk Live by becoming a Free Talk Live amplifier. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. AMP. It stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And the idea is it's $5 a month that we then take in and invest into Free Talk Live so we can get on more radio stations around the country, bring new internet listeners on board, expose new people to the ideas of freedom. And you get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group. Go and get all the details. Get signed up. $5 a month with any major credit card through PayPal, or use Visa or MasterCard right there on our website. Also, we're now accepting Bitcoin for your AMP. So please go to amp.freetalklive.com. Makes a big difference for us when you do that. That's amp.freetalklive.com. Now, James, I know you had further words that you wanted to share about the other James who called in a moment ago from Arizona and was trying to call us out or something about our opinions on the San Bernardino shooter. You had said that he was a lunatic, or that they were lunatics.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my issue, you have crazy people, and maybe they had Islamic. Maybe they were motivated by Islam, or, there's people motivated by all kinds of stuff. One of my big problems, I guess, with the government, the state, is, they inconvenience everyone for the actions of a few. So, I mean, it's basically like that old thing where, you're in school and you get punished for something you didn't even do.
Someone will be having fun on the jungle gym. One person will get hurt, and then they have to ban the jungle gym for everybody, especially if the person who got hurt, their parents sue.
Or if the person who did something in class doesn't stand up and admit to it, then the entire class will get punished.
And there's just example after example, let's say the NSA spying on everyone, or DUI checkpoints, or the TSA.
Or machine guns. I mean, 1933, you could buy a fully automatic Thompson submachine gun for $50 mail order.
From the Sears catalog?
From the Sears robot, yeah, from just the Sears. You could buy it mail order. No ID check.
Good times.
And I'm like, really? Have we become so much more dangerous in the past 80 years?
The statistics show that the violent crime's been down generally over the last
And I mean,
decades.
and see, the thing is, I can own a machine gun, Ian, because I am wealthy, and therefore the implicit assumption is that wealthy people like me are less likely.
You must be responsible.
So if I can afford to pay $25,000 for a registered drop-in auto sear for my AR-15, I can fire my AR-15 full auto as long as I have. You see, this is what I like to say is I paid a $200 tax to the ATF to transfer the auto sear to me, so it's really a $50 piece of steel. But it has a $24,950 piece of paper that says, I will not go to jail for possessing this piece of thing that makes my AR-15 a full auto AR-15.
I guess, my point, if someone is, attacking me or shooting at me, I don't care what they're motivated by, only to the extent, I might say like, oh gosh, like maybe the U.S. government is doing some really awful things in the Middle East that someone is willing to like go shoot other people. Like that's my takeaway from this situation. Not that all Muslims are evil and they need to be banned from America.
And by the way, I'd like to point out, Timothy McVeigh was a perfectly nice name until one guy had to go do something horrible, and now Timothy McVeigh is permanently banned as a list of names you can have. Same thing with like Osama bin Laden, Adolf Hitler. All it takes is one jerk to screw things up for everybody. And that goes with names. So, I mean, like, I wish some of these terrorists, if they would stop having Muslim names, because at the rate they're going, we're going to run out of Muslim names that aren't on a terrorist watch list. You're going to have, like, the poor innocent Muslims who haven't done anything. Like, my name is Muhammad, yeah. Instant secondary screening. So
let's go to the phones. Tom is on the line in Baltimore. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian James and TJ the Spy. Hello, Tom.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hey.
Hope you're having a good week.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, you've got to have TJ on a regular basis.
He's on Friday nights.
Fantastic. Oh, is that his new night?
As long as he decides to not move out of New Hampshire, he'll be.
Sometimes I'm on the road for assignment, or I'm tracking down, doing some, spy-like things, or trying to, go place to place.
I don't think you've officially moved, TJ. I'm not sure if you've officially moved.
I think yes. I'm still.
He's a transient. He's kind of moving around.
It's kind of like a lot of states, the statute of limitations don't run unless you're a resident. So I'd be sure to have a piece of plastic and some auto registration and some income tax returns that say I'm paying income taxes in that state. Just not that I go around routinely breaking the laws, but, if you do something that could irk the federal government or the state government, it always behooves you to make sure that you're past the statute of limitations so that 4 or 5 years from now, or whatever the statute of limitations is in the state, they're like, well, okay, yeah, what you did annoyed us, but we can't get you anymore because you were a resident in our state. And so, yeah, I'm not a resident of New Hampshire yet, but I am up here on a regular basis, and I'm always happy to be on
As long as
Friday
you're
night.
around, you will be on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm going to commit to the basic monthly support that you just advertised during the break.
Oh, wow.
So long as he sticks around, and of course I'll probably keep it up anyway.
All right, cool.
Oh gosh, darn it. Well, now I feel guilty. What if I start to say I'm always willing to be on, like if I'm funny, entertaining, engaging, thought-provoking, those are the things I would like to be. And I'm always worried, like, what if I run out of material? And so
I don't think you have that problem.
I don't think that'll happen. You're very curious to a guy like me.
Yeah.
You told us what you did. And, I'm only vaguely familiar with what you guys do. Yet you talk like a lawyer. On the other hand, you know a lot of information, and you also talk like a cop. So I'm, as an ex-detective, I'm really intrigued. You're up on my whiteboard.
What's that check that they do? Like they run your thing in the database?
1028J2.
Yeah, so he knows all the lingo.
I'm just doing the mental exercise, going through what I would normally go through on a regular investigation, and not checking databases, but I'm just trying to pick up clues from what he said.
Well, I got a quick funny example. So, like, TJ will be chatting with, like, doctors and nurses, and they'll be like, are you a doctor? Yeah. Like, this is a common thing for him. Like, he'll go somewhere, and they'll be like, are you do you work in this field? Like, it's so funny to me.
Well, every profession has an argot, A-R-G-O-T, the word argot or argo. It's the lingo that cops have, 1028J2, search for wants and warrants, or, knowing the phonetic alphabet, or if you're a doctor, knowing the clinical names for medicines. And if you use this specialized lingo, it's kind of like a secret code. Yeah, it's like you're one of us. So if I talk to another lawyer and use all their funny words like, enjoin or motion or pleading or
nolle prosequi.
Yeah, nolle prosequi. If I use those terms, they say, oh, are you a lawyer? Because normal people don't talk that way. Normal people talk like normal people. And, spies are the same way. We have certain lingo. And I actually met another spy at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, and he gave me a National Reconnaissance Office challenge coin, which I have right here. And it was kind of just interesting because it's been so long since I've been in that mode, but it was kind of very refreshing. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember all these document numbers. And,
like getting back on a bicycle?
getting back on a bicycle, being able to speak federal government.
All right, so Tom, what were you calling about tonight besides giving TJ accolades?
To pick his brain a little bit, it's very interesting what he's saying, because in our SIU unit, Special Investigations, I was in command of the unit at the time for a brief period of time until we started investigating the wrong people, like people in government, maybe people you knew. But at any rate, we would find that the younger guys were good with the computers. The older guys, we got pretty adept at social engineering, just what you're talking about. And we could fool a lot of people as well. And that's what has me intrigued, because you seem like one of our SIU guys. And maybe where you work, maybe they did it the same way. We weren't going by any playbook, but maybe we stumbled onto a formula that you guys had found a long time ago. At any rate, I know we're coming up to the end of the show. I have to call back next week to take your brain further, and I'm going to shoot an email, I guess, to Ian. I want to ask you about Bitcoin and about making that commitment with the monthly support.
Sure.
And I'll just answer one question for me. I'll take the answer off the air. To this, TJ, has the ATF taken advantage of the fact that they can pop in on you at any time with that certificate for your Class 3? I'm just wondering.
The what?
I think
code
the
there? AGS Class 3?
ATF. I think he means ATF, right?
Okay.
Is that correct?
ATF.
That's like that, ATF.
I'm sorry, I misheard.
The answer is yes. If you have an ATF Class 3 license, yes, they can do an inspection once per year. They clamp down on that, because they could say, we're going to do an inspection every day just to harass people, but they've clamped down on that. So, but yes, if you have a FFL, the ATF can come to your place of business at any time. So that's I'll answer more later on
another episode with TJ and James and Ian. We'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Are you getting squeezed by the economic downturn? Hey, you were doing fine. Then, all of a sudden, you're having a tough time paying your family's credit card bills. Maybe you were downsized or even lost a job, but you still owe 10 grand or more in credit card bills, and you just can't afford the minimum payments anymore. We're here to help. We are the Genesis Debt Partners. We know the secrets to negotiate better terms with your creditors. Make a free 10-minute call right now and learn how we can help you get out of debt. 800-981-7590. If you owe 10 grand or more in credit card debt and you want to learn how you can pay less and get out of debt faster, call right now. 800-981-7590. 800-981-7590. Get out of debt now. 800-981-7590.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. On Friday, gold is down $8 at $1,226 per ounce. Silver is 25 cents lower at $14.95 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $424 US. It's the end of the week and we're seeing a slight sell-off in gold and silver. To take advantage of this, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get